We decided we're going to do a little hot takes slash a bit of a Q&A thing here, where the both of us are just going to yap about some takes that we have, particularly about deathcore in general.
We used to do that a lot, and we don't. And so we're going to do it today. We used to stream a lot, and for what it's worth, by ourselves even sometimes. And we had a lot of talks about the state of deathcore, how things were. But now we're super focused on, on the show, on the guests and everything. And I wouldn't change that. It's awesome. But this is a good occasion for us to just, talk about it together.
Mm-hmm. So. Ruffle some feathers a little bit.
Yep, piss off the black metal community even more, maybe. That's
We also hit 150 episodes a couple episodes ago. So I just want to do a quick shout out. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting the show, especially as of late. It's been going really well. We've been seeing a lot of support from a lot of cool people. So appreciate everyone helping us kind of do our thing. It's very much appreciated. And let's just do a little something to commemorate 150. Let's give the people what they want. Let's get some shit talking out of the way.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Look, let's and also near the end we did ask on Instagram for your hot takes, so we're gonna go through a couple of those at the end of the episode as well. But for now, we've got some big fish to fry. We've got some big fish to fry. So let's start it off, maybe to kind of ease into this whole thing. Let's talk a little bit about the state of deathcore in 2026. So I pose you the question, actually, to begin. Is deathcore bigger? Is deathcore as big as it's ever been right now?
The answer that I used to give was yes. Like based on the metric that we have at the moment, which is where I'm going to go with this, is first it's impossible to know. It's a different era, and we didn't have Spotify back then, didn't have any of those things. We weren't as connected as we're right now, so I don't even think we can compare in the sense of like numbers wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, YouTube would be the only thing that was maybe there, but it's even then. Like the adoption of YouTube back then versus now is just a completely different reality. Like you can't even compare those, right? So
but what I'll say though is, and people might disagree, which is fine. That's what I do. I say stuff and everybody disagrees. It's okay. But what I do believe is it was bigger in some ways back in the days because it was way more mainstream. As huge as Lorna Shore is, and I don't think you're going to see them on Jimmy Kimmel or someone like that. Like, I would be very surprised. And if it happens, it's awesome. I mean, we saw Knock Loose, right? Mm-hmm. on a big show. It's doable. I'm just saying, back in the days, 2008, 2009 or whatever, metalcore and deathcore was so big that it was the alternative scene. You would see normies with plugs in their ears, and it was like everybody had skinny jeans and shit like that. Like it became the fashion. Like it was a different era. Right now, it's everybody's. I won't say divided because it's another topic, but it's like skateboarding.
It's more spread out, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all spread out.
Yeah.
So back in the days, it was more of we had different styles, but it was more streamlined. It was more like one thing. So back in the days, you would see Suicide Silence on TV. There was like Asking Alexandria on TV. It was like the big thing. You were a teenager and you had a bit of interest with emo or anything like that. You would at least know those bands. And that in that metric, that part for me, I don't see that right now at all. Like, if you love deathcore, then you're going to be introduced to the biggest things in deathcore, and maybe you'll see a big video on TikTok or something. It's fine. But I'm just saying, it's popular within metal, and the tours are doing awesome, way better. It's another metric, right? Like tours are doing amazing, shows are bigger than ever. That's true. That's true.
Right, because objectively, Lorna Shore is selling bigger rooms than
For sure.
peak Suicide Silence was.
For sure.
Right? Yeah.
So that part changed, and that's awesome. It's maybe it's reaching more people, maybe, but is it bigger? Like back in the days, there was something. I'm gonna compare it to skateboarding because it's my best way to describe it. So I apologize if you don't skateboard, people watching, but I'll still do it. In skateboarding, there would be an argument that it's bigger now because there's clips everywhere on Instagram and it's viral and it's this, and it's not.
No, it's
back
not.
in the
Yeah.
days,
The skate parks are fucking empty right now. Yeah.
it's not, because back in the days you had Bam Margera, it was mainstream. There was all freaking Hollywood movies with skateboarding. You would see people has never been close to skateboarding, and they would wear shirts Elements and Zero and whatever. So it was way bigger, even though people would be like, oh no, it's so. And this is why the reason that's also the reason, it's another topic, but that's also the reason why there's less money in skateboarding and it's harder to make a living right now, you know, as opposed to freaking Chad Muska back in the days, who was with Britney Spears and people like that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's like two so different era that in the first place it's difficult to compare. But my answer, is it bigger than ever? I'll say no. It's just in a different state of like they're selling more stadiums and arenas and stuff like that. But in terms of fashion isn't the right word, but in terms of culture, nah,
Yeah.
not at all. And I would say not even close. And I don't mean that as a disrespect. Don't mean we just had more figures, more rock stars, and more people leading. Leading for in my perspective. I know everybody's gonna be, oh, we have so many people now. Sure, but in terms of like making waves, having cult followings, and people that walk in a room and you're like, holy shit, like Mitch Lucker. I don't know. And again, I could be biased, right? There's nostalgia. It's my era back when I was a teenager. I'm aware of that. But guys, it's my take. So
no, for sure. I guess the only thing I would maybe say back to that is it's hard to compare, I guess, the cultural impact and stuff. But the thing that jumps to mind for me is, let's say you take Lorna Shore, and they for sure broke outside of deathcore, right? Like, their music reached people that were hearing deathcore for the first time, and got people into outside of metal, exactly, and got people into the genre. Now you could say that now they are metalheads, these people, and so you consider them a part of the group, but a lot of people got into metal because of a band like Slaughter to Prevail or a band like Lorna Shore. These two of the biggest bands. And I would also say right now specifically, we guaranteed going to be a wave coming in from Bring Me's re-recording, right?
It's probably already like right now happening,
right? And these are people that weren't even necessarily even exposed to metal, or at least not deathcore specifically in the first place. So I think that would be my only, I guess, counter argument to like the cultural impact, in the sense that I think they are selling more tickets and they are playing bigger venues, and there's more of everything because these bands were able to break outside of the niche, but it's the first time in, it wasn't like that for like over 10 years, right? Like deathcore being any part of normie culture was gone from like 2013 till 2020 when Lorna blew up, right? Like they single-handedly brought that back 1000%. Into like a little bit more of a widespread thing, but it is an interesting thing.
No, I do agree. Like, of course, I don't want to go. It's a complete other topic that we didn't even think about before. But it's, as you were talking about that, it's also reminding me that back in the days, I'm not saying everybody was in the culture, but the fact that so many people from outside of metal came in because of Lorna Shore and stuff like that, I feel like, and this is my take, not against you guys in Lorna Shore, you guys are awesome, but what happened is if I'm looking at the shows, if we're talking about culture and what they do during a show, that's it's not going in a good for me, and it's an era thing, I know, but like back in the days people were going there to be scared and to mosh and stuff like that, and now a lot of people are going there to hear one sound, one noise, and with their phone ready to hear it. So I know it's an era thing. It's not a Lorna Shore thing. It's not a whatever thing.
Sorry to cut you off, but just to the era thing, guaranteed that we were in that same position, being annoying to the old heads when we got off into the deathcore, like into the metal shows back then, right?
But it was cooler.
We're not standing there
with a phone.
But that's just because we thought it was cool, right?
Well,
but
at least we're trolling or doing something.
But you know the old heads fucking hated us. You know the old heads didn't think the crowd was cool, right? So it's just that, right?
No, it's just, and it's always the same story I'm saying, but it was devastating to me to see a deathcore show in 2026, and I'm not talking about LA, that was insane. I'm talking about here in Montreal and seeing people pushing themselves around in a pit. And I was just like, what the fuck happened? Like, what is that? You know, like during a clear breakdown. Like I feel, and again, it's not a Lorna Shore thing. It's just the current state of deathcore. Besides a few bands like Body Snatchers and bands like that, the hardcore culture just left. And that's bothering me like crazy. Because for me, that the coolest part of deathcore is not spinning hair and listening to shred. My favorite part of deathcore was the fucking moshing, the energy, and people going crazy. And when we went and saw freaking Elysia, that fucking thing.
The hardcore energy. I mean, look, I'm sure by now you've seen all the footage from the bands playing at Hellfest, you know, a few weeks ago, the Suicide Silence set that, you know, from start to finish, there's people chanting on stage and jumping off and people pitting. And this was like this for every single band at that thing. And look, everyone has their opinion on if people are taking that too far or not. But all that to say that, like, it's a different kind of energy because it was a hardcore fest, right? And we used to have that even within the deathcore scene. We used to have energy like that, and that's what we felt at Elysia, which we don't have. Let's say we went to see the Spite show. We went to see Despised Icon. We went to see, you know, a few of these bands that we see. I vividly remember because at Despised Icon we were like a little bit higher up. You know, we could kind of see over the crowd, and like people weren't pitting. There were no karate moves, and it's like, and this is a band. This isn't a new band, right? It's indicative of the people that are at the show. But that being said, we're not in there moshing either. So I think there's a bit of that product of the time, right? Right, exactly, right. But I'm just saying, I think the people that used to mosh, well, they're just not moshing anymore, right?
No. But I guess I'm just saying, like, that's why I said it's an era thing. But I wanted to make a connection with what I notice is the fact that it blew up. There's something to be said about the fact that back in the days, it blew up within the scene. So there was a culture surrounding it. Right now, it blew up with TikTok. And I think what happened is there's a very theatrical thing around that, and a lot of people are going there which is fine. Yeah, to see, they're paying their ticket. Yeah. It's okay. I'm not saying don't do that.
We did that too. We were there for the final breakdown of the final song. That was our version of that back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still a participation thing within that, at least. But
for sure, but it's just
but no,
two sides of the same coin.
Understand your point, but I rather see anything else than this for me. And I know it's an era thing, but I don't see a world in which this is a good time, ever. Ever.
I'm curious if it's as much like that elsewhere.
I don't know,
because again we went to Cali and it wasn't like that, and we see all this footage of all these revival bands, and it's all the young kids going out in Florida or Texas and stuff like that, and they got no problem moshing, but here. Goddamn Montreal, y'all got to step it up. I don't know what's going on here, but there's a problem.
But I remember in 2000, during the pandemic, I don't remember, like, that's a blur for me, but I went to see the first Lorna Shore tour.
Yeah.
And I was curious and stuff. Great show, by the way. I sound like I hate all these bands. Great show, but I was talking with Ricky from also for Ricky Hoover. I was about to say from Suffocate, but he's gonna hate me. And their set was awesome, but I told him, I'm like, no one was moshing. I don't get it. He's like, oh yeah, dude, that's not like that. I'm not sure why, but it's just not happening.
And I don't know if it's a product of that sort of crowd reaction, but they didn't move in the direction of putting in more breakdowns and like mosh parts in their music. You know, they kind of went the other direction. So I'm kind because they were really new when you saw them in 2020. They had just gone out with their stuff. So I'm curious if they were like, well, okay, well, fuck a breakdown. Like people aren't going to mosh to this anyways, right?
Which would make sense if you really think about it. Like you're playing shows and stuff and you're constantly, I'm petty. So I would do it even worse for sure. But
people who want their music to work, maybe they give the people what they want. Yeah.
I said I was petty. It's not the right reason. I would have a little ego with that stuff. I would be like, oh yeah, here's 10,000 breakdowns. But so that's why I'm saying it's an era thing. I cannot pin that on a band, on Lorna or whatever. That's what's happening right now. But I just wonder if there's an aspect of when you reach outside, is that, you know, sometimes what can come with it.
I mean that's kind of like the whole argument to gatekeeping in general, right? But I think like I think it's impossible to live in a world where
gatekeeping?
You actually wish there was more gatekeeping. Absolutely.
Oh shit.
that's your hot take. You've made videos against this, but
I thought I was against gatekeeping and yet I might be. I might be a gate or just old. So then when you're old, you're a gatekeeper by default, maybe.
Synonym. But I don't know. It's it's definitely it's definitely different now, and I don't think there's really like a definitive like is this better or not or whatever, right? But it is definitely like I saw the hard cutoff like after like post COVID you saw. And I always say this, but I used to recognize most people in a small room at shows, and now I go to these shows and I see the couple of old heads that are also in the room, and I don't know anyone else. You know, it completely like recycled, like it's a completely new crowd. But also what I wanted to get at is that I don't know if there's ever a world where there won't always be new people from outside of the scene joining your scene, right? Like I feel like that has to happen. Like, you know, you're not born a deathcore fan, so you once were not, and then you became. So there's like, you know, that there's always going to be a turnover and new people coming into the scene. I think maybe it's just now I think there's more of a shock because for years we just lost people to the scene. Right, we just had less and less people growing up and growing out of the scene. So for like 10 years, right? And then all of a sudden you introduce a massive influx of new people that come into a scene that are coming in from the outside. And I think maybe that's where it's like a bit more of a shock than if it's just a regular churning of new people coming into a scene, right? Because you had like a death and now it's back, but it's new people like it's like 90% new people and no one to show them the way type of thing. You know, it's not the old heads that are going to do it either because they're like gone or like don't care enough to do it
parents.
Anymore. Yeah, exactly.
But it's also first, yes, all of that is true. But I think it's also again with the era thing. Back in the days, it was so mainstream with MTV and stuff like that we, as a generation, got exposed around the same time with the same things. Like Linkin Park was on the radar around the same time. Slipknot was kind of a thing. So we kind of had
the
for
death
a lot
of
of people,
monoculture for sure is completely different.
Exactly. So what happened is obviously we had a similar trajectory. So when we arrived, we were new deathcore fans, but also a lot of us came from post-hardcore,
Yeah, we came from the
metalcore.
same. Yeah. Sure,
So
sure.
so there was some of that, but I feel like right now, and it's not their fault like at all, but I feel like right now a lot of newer deathcore fans just came from
Straight into deathcore.
Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin and
Sure, sure.
Deftone, and they're just like, oh, what is this? So
There's
which
no
is
show etiquette. There's no proper. Yeah. I get it. I
no,
get
it's
it.
not
Yeah.
because they're stupid or they don't know. They just
They just don't come
arrive and
from
they're
that.
like, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
cool, and they don't have to. That's the other thing. I'm not saying they have to. It's not what I'm saying. I get it. It's fine, but I think this might be some, part of the reason why we're discussing all of these things right now is obviously if monoculture is gone, if there's no trajectory, if it's more random and it's more niche in some ways, of course there would be
Yeah.
some people that they don't know. No one's gonna teach them, being like, hey, what's up, Kevin? Here's how to mosh. Like they're just going to a show
Yeah.
and they're like, this is Lorna Shore. So
Right, and I think to add to that, and all of this time, the whole time you're talking about this, I think about hardcore shows and VFW shows and these small, like the DIY shows and stuff. But anyone who's getting into Lorna Shore, their first show is a 2,000 cap venue.
Yep.
Which is not the same as growing up going to the VFW, like I said,
even
or the
close.
the church basement where there's only like 20 other people in the room and you're actually
Backyard.
making friends, because you're not making friends at a 2,000 cap venue. Let's be real, right? That's not
Probably
like
not.
you're not getting like, no one's gonna like tell you what to do or not to do and stuff like this when there's like 2,000 other people around you. So I think that's definitely like a part of it. But I would also say though, and this goes to maybe there's less breakdowns and stuff like that. It's just kind of the state of what deathcore sounds like in 2026. But would you agree that deathcore isn't really scary right now? And it's like not scary anymore?
Oh, not even a bit. Like I'm not even sure it's a hot take. Like it's not. Like I'm gonna push it even further. For me, with my taste, it's not even heavy. Sorry, not for me. I know it's gonna be considered like a hot take. It's not even hitting. For what I like was the groove and everything. Like we heard how many times, and it's coming from me by the way. How many times can you hear the same kind of breakdown, the same structure, and the same kind of vocals? Like I cannot even, if you put right now a playlist with modern deathcore, I cannot. I don't know which is what I'm gonna recognize certain things, but breakdown wise and heaviness and scary wise, like when I say scary, even though it's old, a good example for me was like what they captured on the Suicide Silence EP was very raw and just like menacing. Like that sort of
That's like the psychotic
face-
side, but also the scary kind of tough guy side as well, right? Like an
that-
Abacab or Float Face Down, and like these
Alicia,
sorts of
whatever.
bands that like you look at the fat dude on stage and you're like, okay, let's
Float
like
Face Down.
you wanna punch someone in the face just because the music is so fucking heavy,
That-
right? We don't really have that many of those bands. They're like beat down at best, That's kind of the
Yes.
next best thing we've got, but it's like not really the same deathcore-esque thing,
No, it's I know I use that word very often, but the two words that I have right now, and I'm not talking about any specifics, but performative and theatrical. That's the two words that comes to mind for me. And I know it sounds like super jaded and insulting. I'm not saying they're all like that, but the state, it's kind of how it. That's a perception I have. But it really feels like the intention behind it is not like a bunch of friends being like, "That's so fucking heavy, dude. That's gonna hit," and more just.
Yeah, it's not laugh out loud heavy. It's like, let's be cinematic, let's be epic. Let's which to be fair, like I thought the same way about like bands like Black Dahlia Murder and stuff back in the day too, right? Like it was a bit more of a fantasy medieval type like epic, like
True.
that sort of like sphere of like metal I've always kind of like enjoyed as well, right? Like those kind of like riffs, but give me a good breakdown too, give me something to get the blood flowing,
This is another topic, and we talked about this a lot, but I sincerely believe that back in the days, there was a lot of time spent, or maybe not, but there was a lot of intention behind making a good breakdown. A breakdown that you're like, holy shit. Now, I feel like the breakdown is just a setup for the vocalist. And I'm saying that In a lot of cases, for me, that's how I feel personally. I know there was vocal back then, there was vocals, but I'm just saying now.
I think you're just equating that because you don't particularly enjoy the style of breakdowns that are happening. But I'd be surprised if they're not also. I mean, objectively, I think all those like Lorna-esque breakdowns, it's pretty clear to me that they're trying to do the heaviest fucking thing in the world. Like a lot of that stuff is like, that's clearly the intent. I think the vocals on top of it is just like the extra thing, but I don't think it's necessarily like made for that as much as what
you're talking about Lorna, but I'm talking more in general and what I hear in.
But I just point out Lorna because a lot of the breakdowns now in modern deathcore are the Lorna Shore type breakdowns. That's just why I bring them up. But I don't know how else to describe that sort of like bursty, like that sort of, you know, with the long pauses and like, to your point, the crazy vocals and stuff. I don't know how to call that, but I think they're genuinely trying to do the heaviest thing ever. But to us, it's just not like, that's just not our kind of heavy, you know?
There we go. Yeah, no, you said it perfectly because there's no, I'm going to say it like that. There's not a single modern deathcore breakdown that I would mosh on ever. Like not once, probably not. I'm trying to think right now. There's none. And I know it's not part of the culture anymore, but to me, that was a good indicator. The feeling inside of being like, you feel like it's going, you're like, holy shit. Now, when I say it's performative, that's kind of what I mean. I mean, it's more of a breakdown. You could be sitting on a chair.
Yeah, Lorna Shore just played Red Rocks yesterday at a fully sit down, like 4,000 cap venue.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, but I only bring it up because it's convenient because it happened yesterday. But that's just what Red Rocks is. That it's, you know, you can't do it any other way, and it's an iconic venue. But it is funny to
super stoked for the opportunity of that Lorna are having. It's great for them. Super happy for them. But that, I don't know, sitting that I won't. Okay, but to me, seriously, it's just. I know it's an era thing, but there's something to be said about, because we're talking about heaviness, which is so subjective. That part, I get it. You could make an argument that Linkin Park is heavy. I get that. But I just mean within the context of, oh no, you said scary. Boom, you said scary. Yeah. No. Like, I could show that to my parents. I don't know how to explain it. I know I feel like they're going so much for the slow heaviness that it's, for me, it just doesn't, it just goes like boom. There's no feeling whatsoever in my mind. And it's also because it's not my taste. And I bet a lot of people watching right now, they're like, well, it's heavy, it's good. Fine. I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm just saying, dude, I don't.
You know what I think a lot of that comes down to, and this could get into our next thing. I think a lot of it comes down to the production.
Oh, for sure.
Because composition is one thing, but I think there's something to be said about, and I think this is why we both enjoy a lot of the revival stuff. Just music having some sort of feel, some music having not so much of a digital kind of to the grid kind of feeling to it. I think those kind of recordings inherently are like more human, but also like it's heavier to me when it's not digital. You know, I think it's gone so far in the realm of super quantized, fucking over compressed, like walls of sounds, but pristine sounding all at the same time. Like that, to me, that just that sound is kind of at odds with being heavy.
No, 1,000%. I see it almost, and this might be like a terrible analogy, but I almost see it as a blade that you're trying to polish so much that it used to be sharp, and at the end, your weapon is just going like it's round.
Deathcore is a Fisher Price knife now. Is that what?
I would have said a butter knife, but yeah, that's kind of how I see it, and I'm speaking for myself. This is our takes, people. Like this is
yeah,
how we
and
feel.
we're talking broad strokes as well.
Very
Obviously,
broadly.
it's very easy for anyone at any time throughout this conversation to be like, yeah, but what about this band? I was like, yeah, of course, you're right, and we both are enjoyers of some of the bands that were like critiquing the specific thing or whatever, But
I said 20 times, Lorna. I think they're a great band. There's nothing to do with that. It's just it's a matter of like we're talking about the scene. They're the leader of the scene, so obviously a lot of things are going to fall on them, and they're fully aware of that. I remember a conversation with I think it was with Austin. He's like, I fuck with all the raw things. You know what I'm saying? So or maybe Mo, I don't remember, but what I'm trying to say is the production itself, what's going to happen is, and it's specific to metal, by the way. Like, I don't think it applies to, like, I don't care for a raw production with Blink-182 personally. Like, I'm not like, oh, it used to be raw and I don't listen to it right now. I don't, but for that style, personally, I don't give a shit.
No, to just to push back a little bit on that, I think you say that because it doesn't happen. Because that's just not a route that these types of bands go down. But I've heard one too many like pop punk bands or like bands in the rock sphere that you can tell it was like a metal producer, that was doing the track, and it sounds like a mix that you would put like on a deathcore or metalcore track, and it just sounds weird. Like okay,
I didn't hear
just
that.
Fucking
That's
weird.
possible.
Yeah. I've heard a fair amount of this sort of stuff,
Okay.
but it's I think like that just falls on like I guess it's not really a counter to your point in the sense that like for the most part you don't get that in like Blink-182 or whatever.
That's kind of what I meant.
It's less it's not something that plagues other scenes.
Well, it ties back to the other conversation. You talked about being scary. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you intend to be scary if you're polished like the Beatles? That's my question. Like, I don't understand why. Of course, you're gonna lose some of the like rawness, sharpness, and like some of the anger you have if like every sound that you make is like polished like that, and it's coming from somebody who loves like crabcore stuff, who was extremely polished, but within that sphere it was almost pop punk. Like, I mean, those breakdowns, those shit, like it worked with that. But if we're talking about deathcore, which like if we're talking about early Job for a Cowboy or Suicide and stuff like it, can you imagine with modern production it would have ruined it entirely for me. Like, is that even a hot take?
We always talk about the cleansing being like live recorded and how that's what makes that record the way it is, and how it's arguably the most influential iconic deathcore record to ever exist, right? And it's not to your point a super modern sounding thing, but I think and this is something I wish more bands did. I have a feeling that the productions that are truly timeless, like it doesn't have to do with being raw or overproduced or pristine or any of these things. I think it's often just like not being produced with a trend in mind. You're right. Right? Like I think like, again, to bring up the cleansing, like it wasn't like a deathcore fucking producer who made that record, and it's timeless because it's that sort, because it's like generic's not the right word,
but do something that
he's like let's say a metal and rock producer, but it's not like specific to like the trends of deathcore or whatever. Whereas now, especially because, and this I think we didn't touch on either, but everyone records themselves now. It's very like, it's a different landscape of recording in general, right?
And shit, yeah.
Same plugins and also just a lot of the same producers, right? Who are known for a sound and, hey, I want this sort of sound, so you'll go. And that's always been a thing, but I think it didn't used to be like that. It used to be a little bit more like, we're going with this person who we know is going to give us like a unique-ish mix, and that's what you want, right? And I feel like now it's less and less like that. Like every modern metalcore band sounds like the same Architects
exactly the
mix,
same,
right? Like it's always the same few sounds. And like I feel like it didn't used to be like that.
It's just sad.
There were a few studios, like people went to Sturgis. Yeah, it's gonna sound like a Sturgis record. They went to fucking Chango or whatever. Like there's always been like these, but again, those were people that were on the cusp of all this like cheap home recording stuff. That's to me like the beginning of the end for unique sounding recordings.
Kind of
and
what
this has
happened.
nothing to do with Raw or not, you know.
But it's just sad because like you would think that with all the possibilities we have, all the software, all the plugin, you would think that everybody would sound more unique than ever. That would have been the assumption. Like I would have thought, like back in the days, like I bring always the same examples, but like play Commonsman's Collapse and then play like Depths from Oceano. Like it's just like we had Depths was like from with Joey. It's not, but I'm just saying like there was so many different sound. Like Jerome was something else. You would click on something. It was so different. You would expect that it would be right now, and it's the opposite. Like right now, I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure it's difficult to know which is which. Like maybe the vocal is going to be an indicator, and even then, but like I don't know. It's all the same fucking thing. So for me, it's losing all the charms, losing all the appeal that it has. And I'm speaking for myself for sure. But there's no appeal in just, oh, so that's the same sound captured with some different riffs. I'm not interested in that personally. Like I'm going to say the word, I keep saying personality. That's what's lost. And I know it's mean, but like most of the modern scene, personality isn't there, and those who has like a strong personality, they're the biggest things like doing their like I would argue that within the modern scene there of course there are some bands with a Body Snatcher, like they're super, it's cool, they're the hardcore dudes. Signed to the Swarm, they have like their genty whatever, I don't know what to call it, their tall whatever you call it, but they have like their identity, their thing. Lorna Shore is Lorna Shore being copied by the Planet, but it's still Lorna Shore. But all the rest, like that's what I think we lost a lot of, is back in the days. Yeah, yes, you had like the big guys, but you also had like the medium guys that was just as awesome and their own personality, and they were cool and they were different. That, I'm very sorry, within the modern scene doesn't even exist for me. Like very rare. And don't get me started in metalcore. I think the only one right now is like Boundaries. Like there's nothing. There's the post-hardcore revival that I'm there for, that I'm loving. I'm calling it's more metalcore, whatever. But dude, what the fuck? And that's why I'm sad. When I was younger and I saw like technology and stuff, my perception was, can you imagine how we're going to go? And it's the opposite. Hey guys, let's start a band and sound exactly like Lorna. Oh, you don't want to sound like, no, let's sound exactly like that. I don't personally, I don't get it. And not to talk too much about that, but you talked about production. I have a point I want to make. When I say this, everybody who knows me think that the only production acceptable with me is like the Chelsea Green EP and Suicide Science EP. It's not. Like objectively, and you're going to be happy about that, best production I've ever heard in my life is Shadow of Colossus, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Because
it is. No, but there's it's a
Ultimate. Okay.
It's a good production. Nobody can tell me it's not a good, but still raw enough to hit in your face the whole time. So, and you know I'm not biased because it's not like a full breakdown thing. It's not like exactly what you would expect.
You got onto them like 2 years ago, so it's not a nostalgic thing. Yeah.
Not at all. But I'm just saying, I was listening to it the other day because unfortunately it's not available anywhere, so I have to click on the same. Yeah. So, but it's in my bookmark, so sometimes I just click on it, listen to it. And the other day I was like, this is just it's a middle, just boom. It sounds insane. You feel like you're at a show or something, but
the bass on that is like pretty loud, and it's like a clanky bass, and that's something that was maybe a little bit more of the time that I've always loved, and we don't got that at all. If we have something like that, it's not really that. It's because it's like a fretless bass or some shit, but that's like an entirely other thing that I don't even stand if I'm being real. But that sort of like bass sound on that record is dope. But yeah, it's like it's a it's a polished sounding recording, but this is
I thought it was a good example.
Yeah, well, this is I've always said on the record that I think deathcore was kind of at its best in the early 2010s.
And hell followed
personally.
it.
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of those types of records where like people really understood it and were like going for maybe something a little bit more cliché. What would that be in English? Like a little bit more.
Refined,
the refined, a little pinky in the air a little bit. That people were trying to be a little bougie with it, just a little bit, just to be like, okay, it's not like dog shit. It's not dog water. We're doing something cool. We're doing something serious with this more than just a bedroom recording. And I think a lot of those types of records with like really cool production that sound good, but they retain like what they were going for. Like the intent was still to be fucking heavy. It was still to be psychotic. Was still to have breakdowns that have like crazy fucking bass drops that sound cool without it being an over the top speaker exploding fucking bass drop. Like it doesn't have to be that either, right? But I feel like Whitechapel's been a band that on those early records was my personal reference for goated like production in the early first, like the first three records.
Yeah,
they had like a modern
yeah.
sounding like thing. It wasn't like it wasn't super raw. Like you could tell it was like a good production. I think Acacia Strain was another band that like the more they progressed kind of leaned into having like better like recordings, obviously with DL and the band like playing a large part in that and stuff. But like truly one of the early examples of like a very down-tuned guitar not sounding like dog shit, and that was only possible because of a better production, right? But I'll still remember like when I was younger, I was not about it. I was like, I would listen to the demos of Terminated and The Hills Have Eyes and compare it to the album recordings of those same songs. And I was like, fuck those recordings. Like I just felt like they sounded so much heavier in their demo forms, and I don't know. I feel like a lot of people feel this way about like early records of a lot of bands. There's something special with the lower budget, like maybe it's less thought out. Maybe it's got a bit to do with like it's less intentional. It's just like a group of guys putting out their first music together.
Instinct.
There isn't like a grand scheme of like, we're going to have this perfect fucking thing because we have to follow up our first thing that was successful. Now this has to be better. So we need a better recording and we need to be more mature. Like all these things that I feel like get in the way of a lot of bands
just
in a
people
sense.
making music.
Yeah. So I feel like in a sense, maybe there's like a bit of that, but I think even today, people still feel like that with a lot of bands' early records. Like it's always the early records that people talk about no matter what. And this is like deathcore or not, right? Like metal at large, other genres, right? It's all for some reason always like the initial recordings that are usually what people end up like gravitating towards most and are yearning for like 10 albums down. They're like, I miss the old band, but I don't know what it is about that.
And I'm the first, it's the personality thing. There's no one else involved. There's no,
no one's copied you
mature.
Yet, probably also, right?
There's that. There's nothing else involved other than this is our version of that style and this is us. And it's doing the same thing to me and many other scenes, like that's my emo side, but like early All Time Low and all these things. Like I'm listening to the very like first demos and shit, and I'm like, this was something or Newfound Glory or whatever. I'm like, that was the spirit of that band was that. And again, of course there's like nostalgia and other things, but a lot of people are going to go around because again, it's them. For better or for worse, that's what like they presented
the pure,
to the world.
Purest version of what they were trying to do. They
like didn't know they would
with its
be
flaws
a
and
band.
all. They
didn't even know they would be a band in live. That's another thing. Like very often, then they get signed, and then it's like, oh shit, we are a band. All of that plays into it, but the very first one is just let's see what happened. That's something you see even.
But I don't think it's as much like that anymore. That's something I wanted to bring up. Like I feel like a lot of newer bands now, they're coming up with a 10-step business plan and a fucking budget and all these things.
And I don't think it's
before they've even gotten a song written. So there's a bit of that too, I think. But I will say though, to kind of add to that too, like I've talked about this a lot. Like it's weird if we specifically talk about deathcore, like. It's just weird because we're not at the early stages of deathcore anymore. Like we do have 20 years of deathcore bands that exist. So everything was unique. Everything was different. No one was trying to copy anyone because there was no one to copy. Whereas now you're a new band in the deathcore scene. Well, you've got 20 years of bands and trends and things to look to. And you're probably coming into it as a fan of deathcore. So being influenced by other deathcore bands versus you weren't influenced by a deathcore band in 2004. There were no other deathcore bands. That wasn't a thing. So it like all of it. And this ties into the production. This ties into composition, the style, the trends, like all these things. Like it's just, it's not the same starting point anymore. And I don't think we'll ever have that again, unfortunately for deathcore, until it really becomes like something else, right? Like, Lorna Shore did its thing, and that spawned a new wave of deathcore. But that was novel the first time around, But now it's not. Like even if Lorna Shore did Lorna Shore fucking Immortal again, it wouldn't be novel anymore. So it's a bit of a weird thing just by proxy of the fact that the scene is just older now, right? Like it's
yeah, but it's to me, I see an irony in that. Like you said, everybody has a business plan, but here's why I have a problem with this. If you had a business plan and you would go to the bank, the first thing they would ask is, how would you separate yourself from competition? Which is a question nobody's asking themselves. So that's the problem that I have. Like the first thing that I would ask myself starting a band, if you do a band, just to be clear, if you do a band for fun, you just want to make music, it doesn't apply. Do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm talking like you want to do music, you're serious about it, and you hope to maybe reach more people. The very first question before anything else, first you should make the band you always dreamed to hear and you never did. First thing I would advise anybody, do the thing you're dreaming about but you cannot find.
I think a lot of people just want to have a band that sounds like the band that they like, though. I think that's the disconnect. I think that's what a lot of bands, that's the trap they fall into.
I'm not trying to say it's fine too if you want to do that, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, how can you expect like anything big or whatever if you're following an already written path with people that are good at making it? You can, but you're setting yourself up to be in the shadow of people. So even though it would be weird at first, and maybe your first won't hit, maybe it's going to be weird, maybe it's going to be... Just remember that Limp Bizkit was fucking weird and hated at first. I'm just saying, I'm not saying everybody's the next Limp Bizkit. What I'm trying to say is, what's your reason? Like, what triggered you to be like, I'll make music? And usually, if it's just for fun, do whatever the hell. I'm speaking, if you would like to be a musician or be serious about it, I think one of the first thing is, what's your thing? What are you doing that's not available right now that you wish would be? Like the part that you're disappointed in a song because you're like, shit, I would have done this. It would have been so cool.
Yeah, but again, that's the trap. It's like, I wish Lorna Shore did a little thing a little bit different here. Let me do that. So then they do Lorna Shore knockoff, right?
Oh no, I'm talking.
Look, I'll just say this. Like, I think it's way harder than just saying I want to sound unique or like I want to sound different. And again, because so much of it exists already, like it's hard to even imagine what like a sound that doesn't exist yet sounds like, right? And again, I truly think that most people, the idea of playing like music, like the cool thing to them is like, like I really love this band. Let me do a little bit of a worship of this band type of thing. Or the other side is like, well, what's popping right now? Well, it's this sound and I happen to like this sound. So let's add one more to to the thing. I'm not saying that's the right approach. I'm just saying I think that's what most people, that's the thought process, or there's just not really a thought process and they're just going into it and they're getting with their friends and they're making music. But that doesn't change that they might want to become bigger, but they just don't, you know, that part of the thought is just not non-existent, right?
And just to be clear, all of this is completely fine. Like you could be in a freaking garage and play with your friends, and that's your reason, and you didn't even think about how we completely fine, which would almost be better even. But I'm trying to say... Sure,
but what happens when that band gets a little bit of traction? The Lorna Shore knockoff that was doing it for fun in the garage, and now they've got a little bit of traction, and they're like, oh, maybe we can do something with this, but now the Lorna Shore knockoff is their sound. Yeah, I think that happens too. You know, I think that is like a reality that happens to a lot of people, right? So
probably. I think, you know what I think? That's my take on this. Almost everything that we have right now that's big was a mix of something. Deathcore was death metal and hardcore. A band that's cool was maybe mixing two things that weren't there before. Like bands like Suffocate or Demolisher were way closer to something like Hatebreed than like death metal. So I feel like, I'm going to say it like that, I see less risk takers in music, especially in metal. They're going for the bled, the reactors, the whatever the hell they're supposed to do, and they're less of a risk of what if we mix that. Like, let's take Peeling Flesh, right? They're putting a lot of hip-hop, they're doing different things and stuff like that. It's sick. They created something authentic, but they still did something different. You could argue it's not, you could argue some people did something, but they did it in their own way, and they didn't copy something. Sure, it's slam, but they did something in their own way. It worked. I'm just saying, I'm not seeing a lot of that. Like, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, we are a deathcore band. Like, they're taking the whatever the sound is at the moment, is that's what we are. It's fine, but I'm not seeing enough, for better or for worse. Sometimes it doesn't work, but trying to mix things that what if, okay, there's not enough what if. What if we mix this? What if we try this thing instead?
I just think the reality is those sorts of bands do exist. Those are the bigger bands right now. And everyone else is just less musically talented, probably, A. And the what if thing is like a not easy thing to even try to attempt or think about in the first place, right? It's like... most people can try and will likely fail, right? Which probably doesn't sound like a good idea, like a fun time for anyone. But I also think like a lot of bands that kind of end up, I guess what I'm trying to say is the act of trying to be unique or forcing these sounds together is, to me, almost the same as, like, it's as performative to me as anything else. Whereas I think like a lot of bands that are different weren't trying to be different. They just maybe even fell upon their style because they were trying something, but they sucked at it. So it gave something a little bit different, and that caught on. You know, like I feel like there's more, it's more of a happy accidents thing in most cases. I think than a conscious effort to try to be different. I think most cases that's kind of more how it happens.
For sure, but I'm just trying to say, I think if we're talking about people with a vision, I would now. But we don't need to have discussions about those people. Those people are the true artists are gonna be true artists. We don't need to tell them. It's everyone else, right? For sure. No, but I was about to say, you know, like I could see the conversation of. It was well taught. Going from Count Your Blessings and Suicide Seasons wasn't like a coincidence. Like, it was taught and they knew what they were doing. I'm just saying, like,
but they didn't know the success that was going to come from that. They didn't know. I think it was again, it's like a band will be like, I'm kind of fed up of doing this thing I'm doing right now. Let's do something else. But it's not like a marketing scheme. It's not I have this vision. It's not none of these things. It's just like, I feel like doing something else. Let's hope it catches on, you know, and then you just hope for the best.
For sure. But there was, you listen to that and there was still like a vibe capturing it. Like, I'm just trying to say, like, I'm not saying you need to change every album at all. That's not my point. I'm trying to say, like, because I agree with you. I think a lot of these things are happy accident. Even if I take me as an example, I never thought in my mind I'll do this or it's just you pick up what you do and it sounds a certain way.
Yeah.
But what I always did though personally is if I feel like I'm really close to something, like really close to something, it's gonna feel awful. But like if you know what I'm saying. So if I would start a band right now, let's say, and it would be just in the shadow of something, I would be like, let's try other other things.
But that's just a you personality thing, right? Like that has nothing to do with
probably but
music making or any of these things,
No, but I'm just saying I think there would be something to win by doing this. Like I think if we had more risk taker and people just when I say what if, it doesn't mean you don't have to have these reflections, but just someone who's like maybe like a weird like I feel like right now the experimental part, the let's try this, the friends in a room thing.
You know what? I think we could maybe close this topic with this. I think most people are doing that. I think most people, that's what they're going for. That's what they're trying. I think that's the mentality. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, the reality is most musicians are not the best musicians and they're not going to make it crazy, innovative, good music. And that's a lot of the bands that make that we see online now because it's so easy to see their music out online. I think most people come at it with a genuine kind of shake on it, like take on it, but it pans out like a knockoff because they're not good enough to make truly original music. I think that's a lot of the reality.
I mean, that would make sense, but I'm just trying to say you do have a lot of sign. Like maybe if you listen back to your song and it's exactly like another band you already heard.
I'm just saying you can tell that person to write a new riff 50 times in a row. If they can't write a unique riff, they cannot write a unique riff, and it is what it is. I'm sorry, that's just kind of my view. I'm cynical about it, but I'm just
you need good writers, that's for sure. Good musicians, that's for sure. Like or at least one. One person who that's true. I forgot about the part that you're quote unquote limited by the talent and the members within your band.
And to my point earlier, a lot of innovation came from limitation in all the senses of the word, whether it be production or songwriting or any of these things. Like things don't need to be complicated. It's not because it has nothing to do with being the best guitarist in the world or not, right? But I just think the way the brain works creatively, it's a unique thing, right? And some people have it and some people don't. So I just think look, I guess my point also is like, dude, go to a metal show and like most people in the room are probably musicians, right? How many of those bands you actually make music worth listening to? Probably a very low percentage, right? I just, that's all I'm trying to say here.
Oh, it is a good point. It is a good point. It's just
I agree with you, by the way. I'm not pushing back on the fact that ideally everyone's doing unique shit. I just think I'm just stating the fact that I think it's easier said than done.
Oh, for sure. Okay, that part, yes, for sure. Because don't forget, of course, if nobody did something, sometimes there's a reason. So there's that.
I'm a firm believer of that. Oh yeah.
So, but I'm just trying to say, I think what I would encourage also, and this might be the problem, is go back in the days, right? During the first era, I'm going to call it the first era or golden age of deathcore, metalcore. Look at these lineups. And very often you have 5 people that came from completely different universe. You had like a hardcore person, but
that was just the scene. That was, you could not find five deathcore kids. There were no deathcore kids, right?
It's fine. I'm just saying, I think nowadays, and I could be wrong because I don't know that. I don't know many modern deathcore band lineup personally that I'm in the room writing with them. I have no clue. But I'm just saying, if everybody's in your band listens to the top deathcore modern bands, and that's what you're listening together all the time, all together. I'm just saying, I don't think it's helping much personally.
I know, but that's only validating my point about the fact that now we are 20 years into the deathcore scene, and that is unfortunately just the reality that deathcore bands now are coming from a place of being enjoyers of deathcore, or specifically deathcore musicians making deathcore music where it was not the case before. But like it's also like, again, easier said than done to be like, let's go get a punk dude to play in our deathcore band. You know, like that's just not, you know, it's that's not like reality, right? Like the reality is you've got homies, and you've got homies maybe because you met them at shows or whatever. You found them because of music, you know, and you guys enjoy a lot of the same music. And it just happens now that because the genre is popular and has such a history, now it's just a different reality when it comes to forming a band, right?
1000%. But I'll take Psychofirm as an example. Like
they're the perfect example. But that's a mature band of older people coming at it with a truly artistic intent, which again is 0.1% maybe.
And they have
the bands out there,
so,
right?
But yeah, it's like it's the Avengers of deathcore.
There are different levels of people of how open they are and how open they are to different genres of music and how much listen. Like a lot of people just listen to a single thing, but then others might explore more and enjoy other styles of music, right? And that in itself is like you could have 5 mostly deathcore enjoyers, but that they come from different backgrounds or at the very least are more open to listening to other styles of music, right? But they could be 5 deathcore dudes in the first place. But I think most people are just single-minded. But that's, again, like most untalented people are this way.
Yes, but you made the point I'm trying to make. I'm not expressing right. You just put your finger on it. What I mean is, I think there's a lot of bands that their entire life is deathcore, whereas okay, that's more what I mean. Listening to other things and having other like inputs and perspective changes I promise you right now. Find big bands like Ollie Sykes, anybody, and ask them if they're listening to only one thing. None of them ever is going to tell you that they're listening, and even less the music they're making. I can promise you that. So this is the point I was trying to make. Like, that's what I mean. Not because obviously you don't know with who you're going to be. But if you have 5 dudes, I promise you that. And I think that happens a lot in the local bands.
1000%, dude.
We're all listening to deathcore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude.
But I think that's just like, let's say you are a person who only listens to deathcore. What are you going to do? Not have a band, right? Like I think that's
you can have a band.
No, but I'm just bringing up this point to point out the fact that I think most people are like this. A lot of people we see online listen to a singular style of music and that's it. And all these people have bands, right? So unfortunately, that's just kind of the reality of things where people are, you know, closed-minded and super focused on one thing. And yeah, of course, they're not going to be virtuosos at their instrument because they're fucking narrow-minded, of course, you know?
Yeah. No, but I mean, with that mentality, deathcore wouldn't even exist because that person would have only listened to death metal or the other person would only listen to hardcore. So no one would have mixed it ever. So the point I'm trying to make is by listening to other things.
It's a feat when genre bending like that actually happens in the first place. Because again, I think most people are not like this. So it's a feat in itself to like have people in the first place that are willing to you know, come together and people that listen to more types of music and to blend things together. I think that's to your point, like we're lamenting this kind of thing. Like most people aren't like that, unfortunately.
No, but that's what I'm seeing in, you know, like the local bands releasing like a theatrical, you know, teaser for a copy of a song. I know it's mean, but it's just what's happening. And it's just like, I think there's this sense of like, I'm not trying to say that you need meetings within your bands, but I'm just saying, of course, if you're 5 dudes that loves Job or Whitechapel and that's all you're listening to, there's no way ever that you're going to make something groundbreaking ever. It's just not going to happen probably. But I mean, maybe, but your chances are very limited. So look at any lineup anybody that made it big or something like that, if they're not all bringing something completely different, at the very least, they all have very different influences and very different things in their life. I can promise you that.
I think that's kind of disprovable with the fact that we know for a fact that a lot of bands, there's just a singular writer in the band, right?
Oh, yeah, if there's one people writing.
You just need, like I said, you just need one person who's like, who's very open and fluid.
No, that's true.
But to me, this whole conversation is like such a long conversation just to say that like some people are true artists and some people aren't. And like, that's kind of the end of it to me. Like you could, I know I'm like a doomer about this, but I think the great music out there, the actual good shit, is just going to come from people that have visions, people that are open-minded. But again, that's just the definition of an artist, period. And I think nowadays, it's easier than ever for anyone and their cousin to pick up an instrument and to start a band and to start recording music and all these things, which, you know, obviously this was gate-kept by money back in the day because it was expensive to record. It was more expensive to get there wasn't like a $300 7-string guitar that you could plug into your computer for free with like plugins to make the same sound as anyone else, right? It was more of an investment back then, sure. So there's a lower barrier to entry to music in general, which is a great thing. But I think when it comes to creating great music, it really just comes down to like, you know, are you a great artist or not? Like, to me, it's kind of that simple, you know, like, are you experimental? It comes down to, are you like open-minded, and are you more of an artist type than just an enjoyer of music that's not really got maybe a bit of talent? Like, you can play guitar, but you don't really have original thoughts when it comes to being creative. Like, that's most people, you know, and they can have their fun. That's fine. But it's just that's how all the copycats happen. Like, guaranteed, you know, it's just by lack of being able to produce anything else, you know.
Oh, for sure. I'm just it's because of the conversation we had about like Commonsman's collapse and how people had more personality back then. I mean, there's as much talent in the world right now, or maybe even more, because it's more accessible, and yet there's still no personality. That's kind of that's why I'm trying to figure out.
I think we just have a skewed vision of what the scene is, and again, because the barrier to entry is lower, there's just so much more of it, and it's so much more present online. I don't believe, and look, people can maybe disprove this somehow. I don't know how to calculate it. I don't really think there's like less like interesting music being made in 2026 than there was back in the day. I also think we were a lot more lenient towards enjoying music when we were 17 than we are now. So that's a perspective thing as well, for sure, right? But I think we just see more shit now, whereas that shit didn't make it to us back in the day. But there's probably the ratio of shit is probably higher because there's more people making music. Like, the barrier to entry is lower, but I don't think there's less good music. I don't particularly am fond of the state, you know, of deathcore, but fuck, man, there's a new deathcore revival band popping up on Instagram every single day. You know, so it's not for lack of having new music and people trying things and all that stuff, right? But I don't know. I think it's just at the forefront, and I think we're more jaded now. So those two things in combination maybe paint a different picture than if we're looking at it from back in the day. You know?
I don't know. Like, if
but again, there's 20 years of music of deathcore being made, and all the different flavors and combos and things you could have tried to explore have been explored for 20 years. So yes, inherently there's less unique sounding bands in 2020. It's by definition harder to make something different and truly unique than it was when no deathcore existed, right? That's just the fact, you know. So there's also that plays into it for sure.
Oh, for sure. But it's just when you look, of course, the ones that, you know, even A Day to Remember is a good example. When they started, they mixed things that made no sense together, and it worked. So I feel, and I'm speaking for myself, but musically, I feel if I would start something right now with people and we're just making music, and there's no moment where we're trying to make something work that maybe we never heard before. It's just like, I think we can make it work. If there's none of those moments, I would already assume that it won't. It's just going to be another thing that is there.
Yeah,
and that's
sure.
that's the part that I don't see a lot.
Well, here, let me put it this way. Bands that are touring right now, the actual bands that are actually doing numbers, that are actually on tours, working the thing, there's not less of those, you know, and I'd argue a lot of those, like all the copycat bands, none of those bands are the ones that are touring, right? There's more tours than ever right now. The scene is bigger now than it's ever been. So that's where that's kind of why I tend to say that, like, those bands that are different, like they still exist. They still come out. There's still like new things happening.
You're right. I just hate their production, but you're right. They do
and
exist.
and everyone else does not matter. Like literally, like the bands that aren't on the touring flyers, that's all noise. There's like a part of that that's like a part of a healthy local scene maybe, and a part of a larger movement and stuff. But it's all noise. Like there can be 10 million shitty dog shit bands with people that aren't trying to be unique. Those bands don't matter. They are not a part of the conversation. They never have and never will, or they shouldn't be at the very least. What matters is what bubbles to the top. And I don't think there's any less innovation in 2026 than there was before. I think the type of innovation has maybe changed, right? We're seeing more like the experimentation with like, it's more like technology and the pitch shifting and the down tuning and these like different effects. There's like different ways of how bands are approaching it compared to when we were growing up and when deathcore was starting. But you know.
Okay, I think I just understood. There's a lot of change and groundbreaking things. I just hate all of it.
There we go.
Happening.
That's fair. That's fair. And I'm with you for what it's worth. I'm not arguing
I just
against
understood.
that.
I just understood. That's what's happening.
If there's innovation there, you just don't care for it. It's just
boom, there we go. Which just is another way of saying you're old and you prefer the same thing as when I was growing up. I'm pretty sure a lot of parents were thinking that Linkin Park was shit and they missed Led Zeppelin, right? Like I'm just saying, like it's just sometimes it's a generational. Very often every generation is like my generation. It was cool. We're all the same. We all say we won't do that. And then we're all kind of doing it anyway. So
just a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. Huge shout out to them for sponsoring the show. As always, got a couple things to talk to you guys about today. First of which, Mental Cruelty. They just announced their brand new record, Echoes of a Forlorn Land, which drops on October 23rd via Century Media Records. You can secure an exclusive vinyl variant of the record along with a killer merch spread. All of this over at indiemerchstore.com. And be sure to check out the heavy new single Raise the Raven banner on your favorite streaming platforms. Now, secondly, we got Cattle Decapitation. They are celebrating 30 years, which is crazy to say, 30 years with a 30th anniversary merch drop and Precious Metals Terracite vinyl reissue. Band has brought back a few really old designs and gave them a little update, including their first ever t-shirt design, the Human Is As Stupid Does, along with some other old school items. Due to overwhelming demand, Terracite has been reissued on vinyl. The Precious Metals vinyl variant include limited edition metallic gold, silver, and copper vinyl variants, each with black smoke inclusions. You can find all of these over at indiemerchstore.com. All this available right now. Huge shout out, as always, to Indie Merch Store for supporting the show. You guys can use code BRUTALITY at checkout to save 10% off of your entire order. Help support the show. Would mean a ton if you would check out the site. Use the code, save some money while you're at it. That's all for the plug. Back to the show. I've got something to maybe tack onto this because I think my argument for this kind of is in line with what we were just talking about here. But deathcore is, you know, the trend in deathcore since forever. You know, vocal features on tracks. Do you have opinions on guest vocals on tracks? Because look, I just want to set the stage here with Grind Gang having a lot of vocal features on some upcoming songs. I'm maybe spilling the tea here, but
I have a hot take with that. Like, kind of a hot take. And it's not, I love, like, since Grind Gang is more of it's a slam, like, it's called Grind Gang. So, like, I get, you know, it's more of we're all online anyway. Like, we're doing it because it's cool, it's fun, whatever. But me personally, as a project, unless it's something extremely meaningful to me or whatever, I write a part for someone, I'm like, oh my God, it's more of a fan service to myself being like, I want to do that thing. But you aside, guest features on other people's music. But that's where I'm, that's where I'm going with this. I always prefer just the vocalist of the band doing it. I like when I'm not even a fan. Okay, this is my hot take. I hate back vocals in any bands. Hate it. Completely hate it.
Okay.
There's for me nothing less cool than somebody with his guitar doing there's nothing I hate more than that. It's fine if you do it, completely fine. And it's completely from buddy.
You know, you probably can't tell on the music you listen to, like in your headphones, right? Most
Makes
of the time.
me hate it even more if something, but honestly, I just prefer personally when people have their, like, the vocalist of the band is doing the fucking vocals, the person in the guitar is doing the guitar. I know it's limited and it's probably very short-sighted because most of the biggest bands, there's a lot of these people doing all of these things and stuff, very limited. And I'm not saying people should do that, but we're talking about taste. We're talking about like my own thing. I'm the first to think that a feature is cool. Of course, if I see that Alex Kohler or Johnny Davis on a song, I'll be like, oh, that's so fucking cool. But personally, and again, it's different. If there's an intention behind it, if the part is written for a person and it's fucking clear when he arrives on the song, you're a good example of that, by the way. You did one back in the days that I thought was well done because there was an entrance, there was a moment for that person. I'm like, sure, because there was thinking behind it. It's like, what if we do this? I can see the conversation behind, it would be awesome if we do this. That I can be on board with, or I'm going to say, it's going to be biased because he's a friend. But to me, seeing Orphan on Without a Face made all the sense in the world because, like, he started his project because it's his, and he likes, and he wrote the part thinking that would be so cool. These things, completely on board. I love these things. But I feel like there's so much of, what if we got Will Ramos on a song and that's all it is? It's just you getting a feature on a song. So I think it depends on the intention. The first part that I stand by what I said. I personally prefer if a fucking song is made by the vocal. If I'm listening to your band, it's because I like your fucking vocalists and your and your songs in general. So if you have one feature, I won't complain. If your entire fucking album is just
Grind Gang,
it's okay. It's okay. I don't care for, I don't mind it because all the features are insane. It's fine. I don't even know how JoJo managed to have all these people. It's great. But I'm just saying, in terms of my taste, I would prefer if there's one and it's intentional and it's cool, I'll be like, that's awesome. But there's a few steps. Make it fucking clear. I don't want, okay. I'm going to say it like that. You completely missed if I don't know where the feature is. Missed completely. You failed entirely on it. Oh yeah, but we sound similar. Then don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
That to me, that's a big one for me. Like,
you failed.
And it happens way too often.
So that's kind of my, because the other thing I said, I know it's stupid. Like, who cares about back vocals? It's just a personal preference. I like when, you know, vocalists doing these things, people is doing their thing, but I won't complain. I'm sure I'm saying that, and I'm sure a lot of bands that I absolutely love are all doing it on completely fine. But in general, ties back to the other conversation. That's the end of my take. It's the intention behind it. It's the way you do it. And it's also is it adding something to what you've built?
Is it in service of the song, right?
Because if I'm bringing somebody, okay, I'm gonna put an example. Let's say I'm more of a grindy band, and then I'm talking with my band, and I'm like, we have these hardcore parts. My vocals are so far. That would be cool to come in. Like, you wrote that part, it's insane, suits the song. But what if we take that person who has exactly the vocals for it? It's his part, and it's cool. Like. And there are some features that you can tell it's this, that. I'm like, it's awesome. You did something with that. But if the whole song, I'm like, I swear, dumb, it happened to me, where I finished the song and I'm like,
it happens
where is
all
it?
the time.
What was the feature? I make videos sometimes on YouTube that I'm like,
bands that I like, no less.
Yes, same. And sometimes I make video about a band, a documentary about a band, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk about the feature, and I'm not kidding. I'm looking in the comments.
YouTube timestamps, yeah.
And I'm like, where is the feature? I don't know where the feature is. Like, and somebody's saving me in the comments, being like, oh, I like his feature, and I'm like, thank God. And I hope he's not wrong. I hope he's right, because I'm going with it. So that's my take. I don't know what's yours. That's how I feel about it.
It's funny you bring up the back vocals, because I actually. From when
I know it's stupid, by the way. But.
No, but it's just funny because I also have an opinion on that, slightly loosely related. Like, for what it's worth, I don't care for other bands. I could not give less of a shit. Like, if it's just someone else doing vocals, whatever, that's fine. But me, when I was making music, we like floated the idea of having someone else do backing vocals, specifically on the record. Like on the recordings, and I was very precious. I was like, nah, like why would I'm the vocalist here. Why? And this is fully an ego thing, but I was like, I'm the vocalist here. No one else in the band actually does vocals. So why would we get Joe Schmo Walmart vocals to do backup vocals when I could record them too? Like, it's a recording. I can record five layers if I want. Like, why would someone else do it? And I was like vehemently against it. But a part of it was just it was just like my relationship with the art. But I do realize in hindsight, it's kind of like, it would to be fair, it would probably still annoy me today. Sure. But like, I know it's stupid. Like, I know it's a bit of an ego thing. So that's one. But vocal features, I cannot name you one vocal feature that I think is cool. I just can't. And this is no disrespect to any of the homies. I love everyone, but I just always think it's at the detriment of whatever's going on. Always.
I've got one that I'm pretty sure you liked, but I don't want to throw you under the bus.
Go for it. Go for it.
Am I crazy? Where did Girl of Glass featured on that I was like, that was fucking
on
sick.
on the Damage Over Time track. Yeah. But cool, I think he wouldn't have been on it and it would have been the same song. I'm just being real.
You mean I
love Jason. I love his part, and it sounds fucking sick. And they got the guy from Girl of Glass to mix the record. Like, yeah, it's like, sure, like it makes sense, but it could have done without, and it wouldn't have. To me, it wouldn't have changed anything.
No, I guess your point. You mean a vocal feature that was like, oh, that feature, like game changer vocal feature.
I don't know. It's like at best, it's like a cool little nod, but. That being said, and look, I don't want to be too harsh on this, but because clearly there are worse offenders of this than, as you were explaining, right? And for sure, if you can't even tell when the dude comes in, then what the fuck are we doing here? I think a lot of smaller bands, and we were plagued for a minute. You know, remember we had like Featured X? Like we have websites now for fucking vocal features, you know, to rent a guy, to pay for a guest spot. That's a dude that you've never talked to personally, who's going to remote record something for you and send it back to you. And then, but you're just paying money to have a name on the track. It's never about the dude's actual vocals. It's just to be able to have the cross promotion or to be able to have the name come up in fucking SEO on your YouTube video like that.
Oh, I would argue it's most of it.
We all know that's what it is, right? And then, sure, I know for sure people are gonna point out examples of like, no, they're just homies, and you know, he came by the studio and he featured on a track. And look, I don't feel that strongly about stuff like that. It's fine to each their own. It's cool. Homies playing music together. I'm fine with that. That's cool. But it to me personally, as a listener, never like moves the needle of like, oh, this is so damn cool. And look, I won't go off on this because literally in the cholera episode from last week, I ranted about this, but I'll synthesize for you, Yan. Music videos where the dude who's on a feature, this local band, we'll get into local band mentality here. The local band pays a dude to do a vocal feature on their track. They absolutely want that track to be the single for their album because it's got the dude on it, but dude is not going to show up in their music video. So they perhaps convince him to have someone shoot him on an iPhone in front of a white wall to do his part. And then they take that footage and put it in a TV in the music video. I don't know how, I don't want YouTube to flag this. So I want to,
delete all of it.
I want to delete myself. If I see one more vocal feature in a goddamn TV, I swear to God, Yan, someone's gonna have to pay. But
well,
anyways,
at this point,
but that's all kind of like the broader conversation of like, you know, bands are most bands are doing it kind of for the wrong reasons. But even when it's done for the right reasons, to me, I'm like, you know, and the person featuring can be the most goated fucking vocalist in the world. Like you mentioned, like, oh, Alex Kohler's featuring in the thing. That's so cool. I don't even care because if I'm being honest, if we're talking about art and again, it's all about intention and all this stuff. Like I just, it's always going to be cheap to me to have someone on a thing that like the intention wasn't really around that person. Like that wasn't like, that's not like his element. That's not like his thing. That's not the guest features. Like, you know, the involvement most of the time is very minimal, right? As opposed to like just having a new song from the person. Like having you know, here, let's say Alex Kohler hasn't put out music in 15 years. I am not satiated by a feature of his on some random band's song. Like that doesn't do anything for me. I would rather a new song from Alex Kohler, from Alex Kohler's band, than him feature on a random track, right? I guess that's my whole thing.
It's never like I think that's why I said the back vocal things, because obviously like there are some I don't mind really that much. I just meant I've seen a lot of making videos. I've seen a lot of bands like Trajectory and the person would do harsh vocal on the album, but it wasn't necessary and the vocalist could do it. And I can tell that it's just like, I can do vocals. And I'm like, I don't give a shit if you can do vocals, like you have a vocalist. So for me, but in other bands it works. Like I have a good example of that. Buddy Snatchers, Chris's vocals.
That's what I've been thinking about since the very beginning. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
For me, it's not back vocals. It's part of the main vocals.
Yeah.
So that's completely different. When I say back vocals, I really mean like when you're like, why? Like, was that? Why is he, backing up? So that's more of my point.
To be fair, backing vocals most of the time it's because you're doubling up. You know, it's because it's
I get it.
It's the extra impact. It's not replacing some front man. It's the added effect of having a second vocal going on, right? That's usually what backup vocals are, but.
Yeah, no, I guess I've seen some bands that the vocalist would lean on more on the cleans, and then it's like the bass player or like the guitar player now doing the harsh vocal, and he stops. I'm like,
That's equivalent though. It's just because that person by default does not have aura. Like, let's be real. I cannot name you a single band where the guitarist is the front man and like that's fucking badass. Like it's just not, right? I mean, like, and there's some goated bands, you know, that are this scenario, but there's no world where I'm going to be as excited for a guitarist rocking a microphone on a stand than I am like a Mitch Lucker or like an actual like it's the worst. It's the most boring thing in the world, right? So
yes, it's terrible.
So I don't know. That's kind of a whole thing too.
It works, and again, in pop punk music, it's something else. But in metal, for me, it just doesn't work. But yeah, I think that closes up the discussion. But that's we pretty much feel the same way about it, because I'm not big on features, except again, just if, and I'm not talking for me, I'm talking if at least, okay, if you do it and it's intentional and it's well done, it's cool, it was written for that person, and to your point earlier, you have some sort of they worked. You can tell they worked together on it.
That is the only way that makes sense to me, is if they have a relationship. If you're doing a feature with someone that's the best way to put it to me. If you don't have a relationship, an actual relationship with a person who's featuring on your track,
there's no point.
I don't get it.
There's no point.
But again, I know maybe we're being a little hypocritical here, but
but I can, you know, there's I want to say something really clear. You're gonna hear me having a lot of takes that I'm aware that I'm guilty of certain things, and it's still my take. I did it, and it's still my take. So I'm in Grand Gang with 50 billion thousand features on what we're doing, and it's still, my take is still this. I'm still gonna be part of it.
To continue on things I don't like, what about joke bands and just the general kind of direction of in certain genres where the music is inherently more serious by default? So let's say death metal, deathcore, slam, this kind of like seemingly newer introduction of, you know, a lot of slam bands now, it's like fart noises and like meme bands straight up, you know, there's a million meme slam bands now, you know, a Family Guy slam band or whatever, you know, like these sorts of things. What's your opinion on that?
Well, that's where people go wrong, in my opinion. What I think is the perfect middle ground is people not taking themselves too seriously, but the art itself and the way it is presented is, except when the entire vibe of the band is like, I'll take an example really clear. It worked well for Attila because that's what they were. They were party guys, and that's what they wanted to. It was their entire personality. They're kids, and that's what they were doing, and that's what came out of it. I don't think any of them were just like, let's make a meme with like kids. It was just like they're party guys. It sounded like that. I was okay with that because it was them, and also I was a teenager, so I was like, you know.
You don't think these new slam bands are exactly that?
Just goofballs talking.
Yeah,
you mean
they're just like people that are goofballs. Like they're clearly the class clowns, and so when they started making music, that's just kind of the direction they went.
Yeah, but the way I'm trying to explain it is when you listen to Rage, sure, the lyrics are like cringy and stuff like that, but if it was funny, it's just because it's cringe you out because it's like party music. But at the core of it, it was still people making, it was like party core, but it was a vibe in itself, a little bit like I Set My Friends on Fire, which was a big parody, but it's their vibe. But when you go in, when your music is slam and you're putting fart noises and stuff like that, like you're basically adding comedian stuff. Not even like it's rare a comedian's going to go there, but like you're adding comedic aspect
comedy
in like sort of a, like when people go at these shows, it's to throw down, like it's a music that's just like, it's not even pop punk. You don't hear like fart and stuff like that, and it's like
I mean,
not really.
You know, Blink-182 is kind of on that wave. No, am I crazy?
Well, the lyrics are, yeah. really much, but I don't think they're gonna stop a song and just fart and keeps going. You know
I
what I'm
would,
saying?
I would see them do that. Am I crazy? You know them
could,
more
but
than
they
I do,
don't.
but
They
okay.
could, but they don't. Well, he's gonna say slurs as they. Well, it's close to that for sure. But again, that's their entire thing that they did since the beginning. But the
But I
goal
think it's
isn't-
different in a genre that's like
was about to
already
say.
not serious. Like that's
That's
why I
why-
kind of preface with like the more serious side of like metal and stuff. Which
Yeah, that's
you know.
the point. That's the point I'm making is even in pop punk you don't see that much, which is the place where you would expect it with like the frat boys. You would expect it a little more, and even they're not really. So when you see it in a place where it's more of a, it's like a badass thing. Like if I take Peeling Flesh, they have like samples and shit like that. But when it drops, and you look at the guys and it's like it's heavy. But I think
Yeah,
like,
they're a fun band without being like a joke, right?
there you go. But when you fall in the parody of yourself, like something is not funny anymore when you're trying to be funny. So when you go as, to me at least, when you go as far as putting like, I don't have any other examples, but you said like fart or like memes and
Look, like a band like Bro Job or like a band like Party Cannon and
I don't
like
know much about Party Cannon, but
well, they're the one band on all the logos that have like a balloon, like multicolored balloon logo, and they always stand out on all these death metal lineups because it's like a kid's logo on a fucking death metal thing. You
know what that is?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
Yeah, I mean,
it's no, but you know what what that is? It's the person in the pit in a costume. That's what it is.
Absolutely. It's yes, sir.
To me. That's what it is.
It's the Banana Mans of music. Absolutely.
It's not because you cannot, but I'm
No,
just saying.
exactly. And that's like there's some people that enjoy the Banana Men, and there's others that don't. I'll
more
state
of a
my opinion.
gatekeeper than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm way more of a gatekeeper than I thought, actually. Not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying I'm noticing within conversations that I'm maybe
the most gatekeepy of them all.
I wouldn't say, yeah, most are, I mean, pretty sure people would kill, but yeah.
But let me, so my stance on this is I guess it's more like I don't listen to metal specifically. I don't listen to metal to get a laugh, I guess, is my relationship with heavier music, right? I'll laugh because a breakdown is so fucking heavy. You know, that's maybe the extent of the ha-has that I'll give during a metal song. But to me, like, I am, again, we were talking about earlier, like, is deathcore like scary anymore? Shit like that. Like, that's what I yearn for, right? I'm not yearning for jokes. I'm yearning for like heavy and if anything, like, and this is me as a person in general, I'm a pretty serious, quote unquote, person. Like I refer to myself as the no fun allowed guy. I'm the guy that's got these fucking rules for no reason, and I'm very fucking ADHD, like ADD on things, whatever, OCD or whatever. Like that's me. So I understand that that's a particular profile I have to begin with. But yeah, I don't know. To me, that's just not why I listen to metal. So that stuff's just never connected with me. And it's the same thing for me with like musicals in a fucking TV show in a Simpsons song or something. I'm like, this is not why I'm listening to The Simpsons, right? That's what it always comes down to. Like the reason why I'm listening to a thing, if it doesn't follow that vision, then I kind of tap out. And in music specifically, it's like, I don't know, I want to be like drawn into like a world. There's like a vibe. There's like and sometimes it's because the lyrics might be super serious or depressive, or like there's these things, you know, there's these things that come along with like heavy music. And I feel like joke bands are kind of like the opposite, like the opposite side of the spectrum. Is like everything I don't really want in my music. But again, I understand that I'm just like, I'm a boring guy, you know, and that I don't like fun. I'm fully aware, you know, but that's kind of my
the
my
word
take
would
on
be
it.
maybe more of a purist and that aspect.
Absolutely.
I think that's what people would say.
I guess I see it as like art. I've said art and artist a lot on this in this conversation. Like I just, to me, I don't know, the joke takes away from the art most of the time, in my opinion, right? But again, that's just, you know, some people like to be entertained. I guess I'm not here to be entertained as much, or for the same reasons or whatever.
It might be a good comparison, but it's like you won't hear farting noises and big jokes in horror movies. You see that in parodies. Yeah, but you won't see that in horror movies.
It would fuck with the mood. Yeah, 1,000%. And look, that's why some of these fucking let's not go down this route. But just because it's the first example that came to mind, like superhero movies that are way too full of jokes. I'm like, I wasn't here for the jokes. That's not what I, you know, and I understand that there's like a brand of that. I get that, but like, to me, if I'm going to see this sort of thing, I don't know. That's not, the jokes aren't why I was going there. And look, I love comedy for what it's worth. You know, a good comedic or a funny movie or a stand-up show or any of these things. Like I love to laugh. Just not in my music, I guess.
No, but I can see that, because I'm the same. You would think that I'm, you know, because I usually love that kind of stuff. But even me, you know, like to your point, like I barely know any of those, but I'm not interested by that. Like when I go into something, it's and not to sound like, oh, I'm artsy or whatever, but when I listen to music, it's specifically for an energy, vibe, and mood. So if I go towards deathcore, that's not like, if I want to just like be goofy and stuff like that, my favorite band is like Blink. I have what I need.
You got goofy if you need it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Completely fine. So if I go in deathcore, it's something else. It's the face that I still make in my room after 15 years that I'm feeling it. When I put like Suffocate or anything like that I'm just like, that's what I want. So if you're trying, and I'm going to push your take even further, by the way, I don't cringe at a lot of things in life. I don't even use the word cringe much. But what I can tell you, though, the bands that are constantly trying to be a meme and to be funny on their page isn't my... Personally, I'm just like, we get it. It's not funny. Like, especially, I don't understand. I understand that there are trends. But to me, if there are something that everybody... Like, a trend is something that people are going to be doing lot, like multiple times. We've seen that. So it's not like recently there was it's like a fake out of a big dark announcement. It's just like, we're going to keep rocking. I'm like,
I don't mind the social media stuff as much.
Okay.
If the entirety of, look, I enjoy when it's evident that the people in the band are like, you know, having fun, and that will likely involve goofing around and stuff like that. But if the entire personality of the brand on social stuff is just that, like if you go on someone's Instagram page and all it is memes and it doesn't even look like a band, yeah, I guess that's my point. I don't really care for it as much, but in the sense that like none of these platforms are really made for music to begin with, I can't really fault the bands
they
either,
have to do
and
I
can kind of like tune it out worst case, but yeah, I'm not so much, but I think it often that devolves further, like a band that's like that'll devolve further than just the pages, right? You'll go to a show then, and the banner that they're going to set up on the LED screen behind them is going to be some MS Paint meme thing that they're going to throw up, right? And that I have the same opinion on that stuff. I'm like, this isn't what, like, maybe it's funny for 2 seconds when I walk in and I see it, but afterwards I'm like, can we match the music? Like, is there, you know, what are we doing here, right? But it's weird because we're coming out of like Facebook. Like Facebook era was like meme central, right?
Worse.
Like that was like a thing of for a time. There was like an era of memes closely tied to music. It's weird. Whenever, I'm sure you see it too, like I'll do research for a guest, and whenever I go back to scroll to the Facebook era of these bands, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook, like all of a sudden it's all these old ass fucking memes, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, here we are.
and even a harder take. with a meme in my entire life, I maybe laughed 4 times. So I'm just saying it's just not my thing personally. I don't like, I can read one word of the meme and I know where you're going with this. It's fine. It's just not my form of humor in general. We're talking about personal taste. So imagine that. And then a band that I'm following is just posting that. I'm like, I get it. But my take is, and I'm going to sound old as shit, I think there's way more cool stuff you can do because I'm seeing it. I'm following, and it's fun to follow, and it's cool, and it's interesting, and it's awesome, and it's working. I don't think you have to make your entire personality like we're gonna break up and we're stupid and use it.
Yeah, I kind of can have some compassion for bands having to do social media for their music, because I would be in the same scenario, and I would not know what to post, and
that's the worst. By the way,
it's like
that you have to post. It's horrible. That just in itself. But we come from a generation where you post when you post, but now it's you have to post. So to your point, I get it.
Well, you posted when you posted and everyone saw it. Now you post all the time and nobody sees it. It's true. It's truly ass backwards.
And you put effort. Yeah. You put ton of effort, and then nobody cares. So because I'm seeing it all the time, right? I've worked in marketing a few years, and I swear to God, we would spend so much time just, we've got to do this, like the big everything. It's going to be perfect.
It doesn't do
sometimes
shit.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but it would have sometimes also hit regardless. That's the reality, unfortunately.
And most of what works is the low effort shit.
It always
most
is.
of what works.
It always and just it's just being authentic, right? And like people hate that that's a reality because people like to always think that there has to be a solution to their problem, but sometimes it's just not thinking about it. And people have a real hard time with that. I'm the first to admit, right? I'm definitely like this as well. I like when I'm able to see a clear path and I can, trace out what the plan is and go for something, right? And expect these results. In an ideal world, that's what it would be. But that's not the world we live in.
Not even close. Like you cannot even just for people watching. Maybe sometimes you feel my posts are even the biggest page right now. They maybe have an idea, even them.
Yeah. And the stuff that hits is just like the regular ass post that was just a normal thing for the person to put up. And I think, the people who are even successful at the meme stuff is just because they're funny people, right? It's not try hard. It's just because they're the, again, like I said earlier, they're the same people that were clearly like the classroom fucking goofballs.
It would have been funny
always trying
without
to make
the
people
memes.
laugh, right? Like, yeah.
It would have been funny with
exactly.
Butter.
It would have been something else. That's just like the way they're able to express it that way. But these are just funny people, right? But reality is not everyone's funny. Like I'm not a funny guy. If you told me to run a shit ton of memes on the Brutality podcast page, forget about it, dude. Like it would be the cringiest shit in the world, So I at least self-aware enough to be like, let's not do that.
I'm gonna speak broadly. I think I am funny with context in conversations, but I'm not funny like that. Like you cannot put me on a stage or memes or whatever. But if you put me in situations, you saw me in California. If you put me in situation and I have to react and I'm saying things or I think in those contexts with our guests and stuff, I can be. But if somebody would ask me, are you funny? I would say not really. Kind of like anybody else, basically. Like I would be a funny parent just for my I'm a reaction to a situation kind of funny. But coming up with fucking memes, I would be, I think, a fucking disaster. And I think I'm not big on trends. Just to make that clear, you remember the trend that people would be like, I'm in a band, so of course I wanted to punch my phone every single time I would do that. I'm in a band, of course, I'm in a of course, I wanted to fight during that period of time. I hated it so much, not laughed once. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but just to tell you how I'm not picky on humor, I was crying laughing yesterday to the most stupid, brainless thing. Maybe you saw it. Two kids, like they're teenagers or whatever, and they're just trying to cook some pasta, I think. And it's just they burn it so bad. And when he's about to they did it so bad that when he's tasting, like when he's biting in it, there's dust coming in, and you hear the alarm, and he's trying to eat it, and he's just laughing as he's trying to eat, and there's just black dust coming up, and there's like, and I was tired, but I was crying because that's, I think I don't. We talked about being performative, and I think that's what I don't like with. So I'm not saying stop trend, do whatever the hell you want, but me and with my humor, a trend that I saw 50 times, I don't see how I'm gonna laugh that time. I'll cry though. I'm seeing trend. I don't know if you saw the one that the parent is pretending to film themselves, but they're filming the face of their kids, and they're saying they're their favorite person in the world. So the whole time the kid is thinking,
you've got such a different time algorithm than I do, my friend. I do not have anything remotely close to that on my timeline.
Like, just for people watching, if you don't think I'm a poser enough, I'm gonna tell you right now, on Instagram I'm crying the whole time. I'm just seeing animal rescues, people being helped, parent cute moments. That's my, or the
dog reunites with the military who's been gone for 5 or 6 years. Like,
that I cry for the rest of the night. Like, I'm starting. No, just to make that clear, I cry in anticipation even. Like, I see the dog at the beginning of the video. I know where this is going, and it's done. It's over. I've cried over spiders. Like, I'm really bad. Like, so I'm saying all of these things just to make it very clear that by seeing the meme stuff, by seeing what I don't like, I swear to God that it's not an attempt to appear by any way cooler or like, oh, I've better humor. Not at all. I'm watching the same TV shows all the time. I'm the worst, but I'm just saying it. I'm speaking from my perspective. This is the whole point of that thing. And every time there's and I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling that way, but every time there's like a trendy thing that I see over and over, and I'm guilty of that. I think I did it once or two. Did I? Maybe. But I'm not, especially for humor. If it's something else, I get it. But funny things, I'm like, it's been done 50 times. Like, it won't be.
You know what's worse than a joke trend?
What's worse than that?
AI image trends.
Oh, no, AI, period.
Yeah, but specifically like AI filters that become trendy, like everyone's transforming themselves into a Studio Ghibli character.
No,
on the
but
time.
that does not come from humans. Anybody who did that, I don't know if it's a big statement. I don't think they're human.
Oh, you think they're compromised?
Or just
they're like early stages. They got got by alien. They just haven't hatched yet.
Or just like a sim, just they're here. Or the exception, I would understand I don't know why the old people really like these things, like on Facebook.
I have a pass on old people for literally anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, y'all do what you want, brothers.
If you're old, I love you already. You did what you had to do. You don't understand. I'm not expecting you to do whatever you want with your life. So I just want to make it clear that I'm not including older people that, just have a computer and go on Facebook. I'm talking with, like, you're talking about AI, right? Mm-hmm. I'm an hypochondriac person, so I read a lot about, health and stuff like that. Every time, like, the pictures they're choosing, I don't, like, you could at least try, like, we send each other stuff like this, but like the AI stock picture of just like a reaction, I'm like, you couldn't. It's worse. It's worse than just anything. Like, you could anything
not have
else.
A photo. You could.
Yeah. It's worse. Just write something. It's way worse. Sometimes I'm petty like that. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not checking that. and I'm not. I'm just skipping it, and next thing you know, 3 other posts in a row because they're trying to push it to you.
Yeah, well, I
So-
mean, it's. I think there's something to be said. Why? And I'll say this broadly, and this can relate to music. If you're using AI for anything, why should I assume that you're willing to put the effort on anything else that's involved here, right?
Oh, that's
Like
fair.
if you don't care to put the effort into, putting some sort of imagery to this text that you're using to fact check something, what's telling you that the fucking text is fact checked? What's telling you it's not AI, right? And it's the same thing for everything else, like a band using AI for artwork, all these things. Like, why, if you're not willing to put in the effort, the minimal effort of not using AI, why should I trust you on anything else?
Here's my take. It's a big take. And it ties up the conversation we had earlier about creativity, being an artist and stuff like that. What AI is doing is, I'm trying not to be too mean with my statement. People in general that has no vision, no creativity, that would never in their life they would have never stepped a foot in art or these places or creativity or post. Now they can. That's what AI is doing within art, is giving like these people where it's fine. We all have you won't see me building a house or anything. I sure hope not. So, but I'm just saying in art.
Yeah, it's giving people the illusion that they're artists, that they can make art. Yeah.
That they can do it. I've seen, okay. I have a bone to pick. I've seen, no. I've seen people use the term AI creator or AI
an AI artist. Yes.
What the fuck is that?
That's like saying you work at Subway, you're a Subway artist, a sandwich artist.
I prefer that. I would take that before. I would prefer, at least they're making it. I would prefer that. I've seen like
for now, Yan. They're making the sandwiches for now.
For now, but I've seen, you saw it, AI creator, AI artist. I've seen AI bands release. I'm like, what are we, like, AI as a tool? I get it, right? You have a question, you want to ask it. I won't try to do whatever you want, no problem. AI within, I don't know, like a software for an content or like all these things, do whatever they, but even like effect in, I'm guilty of that sometimes, something like a light effect, it's technically AI. I'm using like a Photoshop effect on something. It's technically AI. I get it. But AI generating stuff like, look, I made a song with AI. What? You didn't make a song with AI. AI generated a song. What did you do? Like, you make a song. What are we doing here? Like, I've built my own house. Oh, I heard you hired a company. Yeah. So, but I was there and I asked for it. Like, that, to me, that's the equivalent. And I think it's even worse. Well, but
it's worse because there actually isn't someone on the other side that's making it. It's just stolen art, right? So
it's a big topic. But is it fair to say though, within music, I feel like we all agree though, pretty much.
Well, I see way too much AI art in music to agree with that statement, Mayan.
That's true. It happens. That's
social media posts, artwork for singles, logos.
Okay. So
all these things.
Okay. There should be, I cannot believe I'm going to say that. There should be a law. Okay. I'm not kidding. You should be fined. Like if you're a band or an artist and your artwork is made by AI or anything really in that sphere, there should be a law. You should be fine. Like there's a consequence happening. Like you went You
Well,
broke the
I would
law.
put them in AI jail. You know, it like switches all their things to like, well, you can have fun with the other AI bros, you know?
Yes.
But we're banishing you from the real world, you know?
Now they are the AI artists.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they become. Because to me, and I know we had this discussion before, but to me, how can you convince me that you believe in your art where there are very talented artists, or maybe you can do it if you can? I'm not saying everybody can do it, but I'm just saying, like, I'm going to take me as an example. Like, I don't want to talk about myself, but I think it's a good example. I now I do artworks and I love doing it, but I wasn't able to before. Guess what I was doing? Paying people. I was paying an artist that's good, and it's not cheap. It's not. But I was believing enough. And by the way, AI existed, but I was believing instead of AI. I swear to God, I would slap my white logo on a black demo, or a color, or whatever the hell I want to do, like a red logo on it, and that would be it. Because I don't understand how you can. That's my take. How can you be proud of what you made? That's what I don't understand. How you didn't believe in your song. You didn't care. It's not even believe. Didn't care enough about what you made at this point. Like, is your drum AI? Like, did you believe enough in your song? But then you're like, oh, it's the image. It's literally, and this is another topic. To me, artwork matters so much when you release something. But that's how you care. Like, it's not even important. That's the image. That's what people are gonna, all the nostalgic, every time we talk about something, when we say the cleansing, you have an image in your mind. I have an image in my mind. When we say somatic defilement, we have an image in our mind. When I say the Chelsea Green EP, every time we talk of the Doom EP, we have an image. That's the image that people are gonna have. I don't care about the era, things are changing. It's still when they're gonna click on Spotify, that's what they see. And you do it with AI. And then you're trying to convince me that you cared about what you did. That's the part I don't get. Am I too harsh? Like that?
No. Let me start by saying I fully agree. Everything you just said there, I could not agree more. But I think a part of the problem here, if I'm trying to imagine what sort of a counter argument you could have to this, I think people are becoming, I feel like, increasingly selfish, but in a way that like they think they are owed, or like they think that they are. Yeah, I think they think they're owed everything. Like in the set, just for the sake of this example, like you wrote a song and now you want to put it out and you want to have artwork for it. You are not owed to, you do not have the absolute necessity and privilege and are not owed to have like a crazy cool artwork that is made by someone that you would have paid $3,000 to commission the art for. You just don't, right? Like that's not like I can't figure out the fucking word, and it's something simple, but like it's like entitlement. Like people think that they should be allowed to have these things. And so AI is the shortcut for them to do it. It lowers the barrier to entry to having these things. But like to me, I'm like, you don't need this, and you are not owed a crazy artwork. Like if you don't have the money to pay an artist, if you don't have the means to do something like that, and you can't do it yourself, I mean, for the entire human race, we didn't have access to this, and people were just fine, right? Like we weren't lamenting the fact that, oh no, if only I could get this fucking AI generated artwork instead. Like that's just never been like a part of. But I feel like people use AI because they're like, well, now I can have it too, but like in a selfish way, like as though it's I feel like I'm explaining this wrong, but I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but I think it's like an entitlement thing where I just I just don't believe in that. Like if I can't afford something, or if I can't grind for something, or if I can't make it myself, like that's just my reality, and that's okay, right? Like people need to learn to be okay with just not having the thing. Like AI doesn't have to be a solution to your entitlement, right? Like that's kind of where I'm going with this.
At all. And I think the expression "when there's a will, there's a way."
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The way I see it is, again, I'll take me as an example. When I released some of my few songs, I was very limited. I didn't have anything to record with. I worked with people. I really wanted to do something and test it out. My guitar was used. It was a used guitar that I paid not much. I paid the artist. It was a few $100, but just to give you an idea, the artwork I think cost more than the guitar.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, it's like saying you cannot, if you want to play hockey and be a goalie, AI won't bring you your equipment. You're gonna have to figure out a way and have it. That's how it works. So I'm just trying to say, I think it's because it's about seeing the value in something. Like that person who's like, no, I'm going to do it AI generated. I don't have $3,000 for an artist. First of all, $3,000. There's so many things you could do before paying $3,000, but there's people, there's like, you could pay, easily find someone at 500 that does something great, by the way, or even you probably have friends that are good to draw, or maybe a good photograph, or
but again, like I'm saying, you don't need these things, right? Like it could, to your point earlier, just be a fucking logo on a thing. If you can't afford it, that's okay. But too. I mean, if that's you just want, that is just the world we fucking live in. You know,
but it's just about, you wanted to be creative about music because you saw value in your song, and then the image of your song for you has no value. So for me, that's a mindset problem. I would go as far as, I'm talking for myself, if I was about to it doesn't work because now I'm doing artwork. Let's say I'm not, and I was about to release a song and I have a specific image for it. I swear to God, even if my song would be ready to release and stuff, and I would have to wait a little bit, I would wait, have the image, to me, and then release it.
But that's like, you're saying that because that's like a reasonable thing to kind of wait on and wait to have the money and stuff. But that's all fine and cute and fun. But like, yeah, I wish I could direct a Hollywood movie, but I fucking can't. It just, you know, like it, and that's just the, you know, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's just.
No, but they could do that though. That's my point. They could do exactly what you said is like very difficult, but what I said is very easy to do.
I know, but I just feel like the general thinking behind using AI is kind of all in line, regardless of how much that thing is. You know, it's like, I'm just saying that people tend to use AI to escape the reality that is, you know, and it's like achieving a goal no matter the cost, right? And they're using AI to achieve that goal, regardless if it cheapens their thing, regardless if that's like a shitty legacy for them to lean on, regardless of if it's artistic theft, regardless of copyright issues, regardless of putting people out of job, like regardless of all these things, it's like it's the singular me. I have this idea. I want to do this. But the reality is most people, you can have a million ideas, but you're limited by your resources and your situations. And that's just kind of what it is. And I know some people, that's the pushback. It's like, well, no, this is a great thing. Like it gives access to everyone for everything. And that's like a great thing. Right. But I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, well, we had it rough in our day, so you must have it rough too. Like I'm for progress and things getting better, but I just don't think AI is it, you know?
Oh, no, but my take, like I'm very blunt with it, but like AI has no place in art and creativity. Good as a tool, that's it. Like AI, you're using an AI tool to tune your guitar. Have fun. You're using, no fucking problem with that. Using AI for the image of, like, just to put it bluntly for people watching, like, I know tons of you guys are musicians. Every time you make a song or an album, whatever, but I'm going to go with a song, single for the sake of that example. You had an original vision, vibe for a song. You care about that song. You thought about that song even. You go to sleep and you're like, what if I do this? And then you open the light and you work on it. It was a part of your life during the moment when you were working on it. You were feeling things. Maybe you deleted part. It was important for you when you were doing it. And when you arrive to the representation, literally, of this, it's just... That's the part I don't like. You saw value in all of it. You cared about, you felt something as you were recording it. I sure hope so. And then you arrive at the image, it's almost like the end of it. Like it's like, okay, or the beginning, depending on how you work. But I mean, it's what people are going to see that represents your song. And you're like, nah. So yeah, that's the part I don't get. You saw so much value, but then you don't see it in this.
I think the disconnect is that some people just don't see it as AI is bad or AI doesn't look good. Because let's be real, especially right now, like you can always tell when AI, like it looks fucking dog water, you know. But again, to my long ass fucking rant earlier, like some people just don't have that. Like they just don't see it. They don't have a in their vision.
Mind,
you're
fine.
talking about an artistic vision and all this shit. A lot of people don't have an artistic fucking vision, right? So when they're and I'll push it further. Some people have the greatest musical fucking mind, but have no artistic vision when it comes to art work, you know, like that sort of thing, imagery or whatever.
So you mean
like
two
separate things. So yeah, I think a lot of people, like I think most people actually that are okay with it ultimately is because they got the thing and they're like, yeah, this is cool. Like no one's like releasing it being like,
I think it's worse.
It's like this looks cheap, but I'm gonna put it out anyways. Like I don't think that's usually kind of the approach. It's usually people that are like, in the first place, okay with AI, right? But I just think that us as like a society, like right now at the very least, like I think these people, regardless of how they feel about AI and how okay they are with AI, I think it's just putting aside the fact that I think most people right now, at the very least, again, at some point it's going to be undecipherable and we won't be able to know. But at the moment, at the very least, it's putting aside the fact that like most people are looking at the art and being like, ew, what the fuck is this shit? You know, and not caring about the fact that people are going to find it lame. Right. So that's maybe like an ego thing at that point, or like no, I find this is cool, and I know people are gonna hate it, but like I'm okay with it. Fuck everyone, sure. But I mean, you reap what you sow at that point. Consequences of your own actions. But I don't know. To me, it's like I just don't understand why someone would go down that route, knowing that people are gonna fucking dunk on it. You know?
Oh, for sure. And I hate the fact that there will be a point where we cannot tell. That's gonna be the downfall. Mm-hmm, that's gonna be the fucking worst.
We are in the beginning of the end for sure. But when dude, peak AI shit is gonna
even music videos, even
this
people.
Little dead internet theory is vastly approaching.
Even people, you'll see maybe even like an official video and it wasn't real. No, dude, that's going to happen.
I'm already second guessing everything now. I see a meme online. I don't know if it's fucking
animal things.
It's a
animal
video.
Things. I'm like, it's probably not true. Like animals, I'm like, you see, I don't know, like you see two animals being friendly or whatever, and I'm like, is it? And
that's like such a terrible world to be living.
It's horrible.
I despise it.
We didn't need that. We did not need
that. And this isn't even about like being pro or against AI. It's just the fact that like right now it's the same thing when like in a video game when there's like a lot of cheaters in a video game. Like it's a known fact that there's a lot of cheaters. Like all of a sudden when you're playing against someone that's just good, you'll be more quick to assume, oh, he's cheating for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Even though he's probably not, you know, even though he's likely not, or definitively he's not, but just because of the fact that you know that there's a bunch of cheaters, your brain just goes there. And it's the same thing with AI for me right now. Like I feel I cannot be scrolling nowadays. It's full AI profiles now. Like you got to see this. I know for a fact you get this on your algorithm, Mayan. Not to out you here, but like the fucking AI generated fucking goth girls and shit now.
All the time.
It's crazy. And you look into any amount of this stuff, and it's like it's getting like creepily realistic, where like they look like it's like made to look like bad pictures on purpose to look more real.
Yes.
And then the second you look at something else, you're like, oh wait, okay, this is AI, but like you could not tell, you know.
But that's not the worst part. It works.
Great. I know, but that's what I'm saying. It is at a point already for photos where it's like it's already like realistic, but it's like plaguing the internet right now. So with stuff like that, I'm just constant whenever I'm online now. I'm second guessing everything. I'm fucking, you know, to your point earlier, I do a Google search. I do not know anymore if the result that it's giving me is factual. I just don't know anymore. There's no way of knowing anymore. That's what annoys the fuck out of me. And look, if it was just for like simple petty stuff, whatever. But in your case, you were saying earlier, you're a hypochondriac. You're like looking shit up. It'd be kind of cool to know that the shit you're reading on the internet is somewhat accurate, you know? But now, dude, it's hard to even get to a real result without having 10 fucking pages of AI generated results first. It's getting crazy, brother.
It's the worst, and it's also because when something has more downside than good side, it should be an easy, you know, you're going to be started in the centers and shit like that around the world. But like, there's so many more that we don't need that. It was fine. Like, there's some things that I'm like, we need it. Like, it's, you know, it's a necessity. That I'm like, yeah, it's cool sometimes for certain tools, but like we could have. We come from a generation that like you had to read Google Map on paper as you're driving. So I think we would be fine without like articles with AI generated shit and AI videos that like I'm by the way, it happened to me that I couldn't tell at first. So I watched the video and there's one small detail I'm like, that seemed off a little bit.
5 years from now, brother, we won't even, we will not be able to tell. That's what's fucking crazy. But
we're going more and more online, so it's not like it's gonna get worse, and everything is online. So I'm like,
I can cap the AI subject with this, but it's the fact, just the simple thought of, you know, it was supposed to replace all the boring shit, but it's very quickly just replacing our art first and not much of anything else. So I don't know, kind of a weird place to be in. We're running on like 2 hours 15 minutes right now, so we could maybe do you want to do just a few Instagram hot takes that people had, and then we can wrap this up?
Yep.
Let's pull up the sheet here. So you asked people on Instagram to give us their hot takes that we can discuss.
And all the takes is that AI is great.
Yeah. All revival bands sound the same. We haven't really talked about the MySpace revival, to my surprise, actually. But
I think I know what they mean. Like, I think it's because we saw one form of deathcore. Like, it's the Suicide Silence EP cleansing form of deathcore that came back. We have in the revival right now. We have the Red Shore. You know better than everybody. We don't. We don't have the tough, like, I don't know, like Suffocate, Demolition. I didn't see much of that. We don't have like all the more. I didn't see really the annotation shit. Tons of pics, like really grindy, a little bit. Yeah, but not really.
I mean, those fans just are making slam. You know, it's not really like that. You know, it's like so close and adjacent to that scene that that's where the pig squeals are at. It's not really in the deathcore stuff. Yeah,
true. But we don't have like that.
But to your point, we don't have that sound in the revival for sure.
Don't really have that. We don't. There's very few who was doing like the more melodic All Shall Perish, Counter Blessing. We had a little bit. Don't feel like we have much of it at the
Yeah,
moment.
I mean,
So
shout out like The Spoke, Walk It Launcher,
Rocket
bands like
Launcher.
that, but they're like few and far between. That being said,
Caddy
I
went
almost,
missing, but
but I mean, same guitarist, so
Yeah,
but I kind of like it that way, where like for that specific kind of niche, where we also don't need 25 bands that sound like that. So I'm fine
sure.
with 3, if anything, but it is definitely an underserved quadrant of the era compared to, let's say, to your point, the Suicide Silence EP, type of sound.
I might have a kind of a hot take with it. It's healing my nostalgia to see all the aesthetic coming back, but I'm seeing a lot of the intentional bad photos and stuff like that and stuff. It's fine. I get that they're respecting like the vibe, but what you guys need to understand though, we did that because that's the best we could do. Basically,
that was our high end. Yeah,
we if you gave us back in the days those phone, we would have taken this all the bands. So it's just a little bit of context. I like what they're doing, but I think it doesn't help the that perspective that person made, because it gives the impression that everybody's doing the same sort of thing. It's just adding on. I'm not saying it's wrong, just saying since everybody took a similar aesthetic, similar vibe, and similar, of course it's giving like the same universe type thing, so it gives the impression of the revival. But if you go back in the days, it was just, that was a technology that we had, so of course the photos were a bit similar, but if you take the vibes of the bands, the sounds of the bands and everything, there was a lot of different aspect. I'm hoping to God and that at some point somebody's gonna do something a little bit like Common Man's Collapse, or like weird shit like, or Goodbye to the Gallows, maybe it's something a little more just
I want to see like an arsonist get all the girls fucking rip off band, anything. I don't know.
Something like that, because we
give
have
us weird fuck people like to quote the old bands and shit. No one's doing like Animosity 2.0. Come on guys, what are we doing here? When are we getting the Red Chord 2.0,
or maybe a mini Despise Icon, but you was something like, I'm not saying it's easy to do, I'm just saying like something like that. Like imagine if we would see that, like 2 vocalists, pig squills and shit, like just trying to break. I'm just saying we have one version, and the ones that are doing best are at the top. That's what's happening, which is normal.
Yeah, and the few ones that are kind of doing it different, to the point of everything we've been talking about during this conversation, right? But I think I kind of wish there were more bands of don't get me, the entire energy and vibe of the revival is based around the fact that the kids are into this music and making this music. So don't get me wrong when I say what I'm about to say, but I do wish we had more older people making the revival type stuff, like more of the Psycho Frames of the world. And I'm not saying to replace the kids. I'm just saying if we had just like a few
balance
other,
it out.
just like I don't know, like mini super groups or something, just like friends from like bigger bands or something, like people that are already successful a little bit, and they just, there's a pocket of them that get together and form this little side band or whatever that's like a MySpace deathcore thing, but like in their own way. Like I feel like those would immediately be super cool and maybe a little less on the nose with how they're copying the sound or going for the sound. Whereas we've talked about this plenty as well, but I think personally the real interesting stuff that's to come from the revival scene is yet to come. Right. I think it's all these bands' sophomore records, their first full lengths. If anything, most of these fucking revival bands haven't written a full length yet. It's all demos and maybe an EP. Right. But I think most of these bands, once they're going to have maybe even moved on a little bit because they've already done their Suicide Silence deathcore thing, and now they're prepping to write for a new thing. They're like, okay, let's explore some new things. Maybe we blend this with something else, to your point earlier. I think that's when we're going to start having really fun stuff. I think we're going to start seeing it with, like, we both know New Reverent, is gonna be exploring a little bit some new things and stuff. And you know, that's what I'm excited for personally. I think it's gonna do a little bit of the same thing that we had back in the day, where, you know, once that kind of scene matures, quote unquote, a little bit, there's like people grow up a little bit as well. They've got more experience. Again, all these bands, it's most of these kids, it's their first bands. It's the first time they're making music with other people. It's the first time they're writing songs. So yes, naturally, some of them it's more of a ripoff than others, because that's just, you know, that's how you start. That's how you start making music in the right. And this is what's cool right now. So it's like, yes, it's a trend and people are hopping on this thing and they're doing sort of their version of it, but some of it's a little bit on the nose. But all those people are going to graduate into, you know, doing their own thing. Hopefully, you know, a bunch of them are going to fall off. So we've already lost a ton of bands that either switched off of deathcore or just broke up already. Because the same thing's going to happen. Kid's going to go off to college. One's getting married. One's got a kid on the way, whatever. And all these bands are going to shape and morph into these other things. But on the other side of that, we're gonna have some cool stuff. So yes, I think right now it's to say my point. I think it's kind of samey right now for the most part. There's a few standouts for sure. We love all of it because it's a sound we're nostalgic for. But the best is yet to come. Mark my words.
Yeah, and people watching, like, when the revival started, I thought I would see Red Shore stuff, Cyber Grind stuff, like I thought all the spheres that we had.
Yeah, the MySpace at large type of thing. Yeah.
A mini Suffocate, like, I thought we would see there's like each aspect of bringing back. And for what it's worth, I think it would be so fucking sick. Like, not doesn't have to be exactly like that. It just means those different sort of, because that would be the complaint with deathcore. There's like, deathcore is like one thing right now. Yeah. It used to be many things. So
yeah, we can't complain about the symphonic stuff without acknowledging the revival, the revival stuff as well. Okay, just a few more here. Let's do Chelsea Grin EP or Infinite Death.
That's, people keep asking me that. It's the worst question you can. It's like, I have like 5 EPs that I cannot, for the love of,
you can't rank them. Yeah.
But I mean, I cannot really. It's so. At least if it was a bit similar, it's so different. You have like a technical. Probably in my life, one of the best technical deathcore thing, if not the best, that I've heard, with some of my favorite vocals in the world. And next to it, you're asking me about my favorite EP of all time that got me into deathcore with some of my favorite songs, like No Skips, with one of my favorite vocalists. So for me, it's like, it's sorry for the person who asked. Those two, I can't, unfortunately.
Well, look, I'll be the one to say it's Infinite Death any day of the week. Easy. But I respect the EP, but for me, it's got to be Infinite Death.
Even my friend told me that the other day. Like, we both like the same stuff, and he told me, I think Infinite is better. I'm like, that's where I cannot pick because of nostalgia and the importance of Chelsea Grin. But yeah. More breakdowns too.
Pig squeals only sound good when they aren't done 10 times in a song and 1,000 on one album.
10 times, 10 times.
Like, do you prefer pig squeals in moderation, or are you fine with an abusive amount of pig squeals in your songs?
Too much pig squeals is too much. I'll
like
be honest.
Welcome to Sludge City. That's too much.
No,
just pig squeals from start to finish.
I wouldn't say it's always. It's not that bad.
And it's a whole ass riff that's just pig squeals. You know, it's like
it's
definitely
riff, but it's doing other stuff.
Of course, but I'm just saying, like, it's an example of a more prominent.
I was fine with that
amount of pig squeals.
It would be the limit, perhaps, but that would be my limit. But like, I'm gonna say this.
Waking's got some pig squeal heavy songs too. You know.
Again, the limit, I would say, but to me, I prefer, like, I'm trying to, not really what I do, but more like what I vibe with is, it's cool when it's, I prefer moderation, because I think one of the coolest things that's not used a lot, that Doom Job for Cowboy did very well, is to put pig squeals within the other vocals. I think it's also
That-
when you hear pig squeals, but then right after, I think that's the appeal. I love parts that are made for pig squeals because I'm guilty of that, like slammy parts, boom, boom, and it's just pig squeals. I love that. But within the context of a song, if it's not a part like that, I feel like it shines when you do it in, and even more points where your words that you're putting in your songs, and it's coming from somebody who's only doing inhales and shit, but the tone matches. Like Job for a Cowboy would do that. Like he would do pig squeals with the words that the intonation is like it's close to the pig squeals.
That's me kind of the only way I enjoy pig squeals. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't like pig squeals at all outside of that, but you know, the breeze kind of coming in at the end of the word because it's ending with an E type of thing. Like I have a lot more leniency towards that. I enjoy that to a point where like I'll never bat an eye actually if it's done in that way. And I actually like it. So there could be any amount of those, honestly, and I'll be fine. But I think overusing pig squeals outside of that is unfortunately just something that's like, it's like aged poorly. I think it's like, you know, it's harder to listen to. I think we don't really have much. I think it's why we don't hear many new bands do that. You know, it's kind of like a lost art, the art of the pig squeal.
I respect your take. I do have though, like coming from, you know, I love, yeah, I do. Cause
I don't listen to slam, by the way. So that cans that category. And pig squeals are a part of the reason why I don't really fuck with slam, you know?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm not like, for me, I love slam, but it's always missing something. It's missing the energy of deathcore and the hardcore and stuff like that. Like I love when it goes like, because you know I write a lot of that as well. Like I love the boom boom, but when it's just dum 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 the whole time, it's but personally a deathcore song, a little bit like Despise Icon, that everything stops and it goes like I personally fuck with that heavy, so I like it personally. It comes down to the way it's done, because if you take Annotation of an Autopsy, one of my favorite record of all time, including the high pitch inhales, like, and I'm not even kidding, I like those. So sure. One of my favorite thing in the world, and he's doing so many pig squeals, but it worked within that context. I feel like sometimes people are making pig squeals because they're like, pig squeals are cool, but it's tying up to the conversation with the vocalist thing, like the guest vocalist thing. It's like, it depends on how you do it, and because even me, like if your whole song is pig squeals, almost, it's like, yeah, but like, you know, I would have preferred just a few here and there. Like even in metalcore they would do that. There was this band called Years Since the Storm, and I love that band, and he would finish a word with brie and stuff like that, and it worked, and it was good, and it wasn't too much. So context here and tastefully done, but too many pig squeals, yeah, I think you're missing because it won't hit basically.
Yeah. Well, okay, in the same vein as this, Girl of Glass wrote in, signed by Landry at the end here. He says, ironically, given who this is from, just because you have bass drops doesn't mean that they're dope. Thoughts, Yan?
I'm not sure if it's in the sense that bass drop won't magically make your riff or your part cool. I don't know if it's in that sense. Probably.
I mean, that's a valid take if that is one.
Because if that's the take, 1000%. And again, like anything in life, if there's a bass drop. And I'm guilty of that, by the way. I put way too many. But if there's a bass drop every time, of course, there's no impact anymore. There's a bass drop every second, and it can make the. I compare it to that. It's like somebody catfishing, basically. If the bass drop is starting and it's crazy, but the part isn't, you're kind of setting yourself up in a way. Like you made this setup, it's like, and then it's okay. It's, you know what I'm saying? So no, I won't make it magically great. What I'm gonna say though is, if you put bass drop, don't half-ass it. Like in modern production,
Dude.
it's like it's
Make my speakers blow up. I don't care. Full
like,
permission.
No, but be honest.
Full permission.
In modern production, it's like I could do it like that. Ooh. Like I think that's the bass drop. I just did it. That's their bass. Come on. Like if you put a bass drop, like make a real
We're getting
one.
these cucked bass drops in 2026. But I'll do you one better actually. In all of the recent fucking shows that I've been to, even the bands that I would have expected to have like massive fucking bass drops and shit, for some reason they like don't, or they're just not fucking loud enough. But whatever. But I just go back in time to like the 2010s. Just a bit before that and after that, like going to a show and they're sound checking, you know, the bass drops.
Yes.
Like with nothing else playing, and you know that's almost what tells people that are on their smoke break outside, like, oh, okay, the band's starting, like, let's come on in, because it was so fucking loud it shakes the entire building. And like they would abuse it, like to kind of counter your thing, like too many is too many. Like me personally at a show, you can have bass drops going off every 20 seconds. I don't care, man. That like a loud ass fucking bass drop on appropriately, of course, on a breakdown, whatever. But I'm just saying, some bands have a million breakdowns in their song. That's all they do. I'm okay with it there. I miss that, because it's been a long ass time since I've been to a show where like the bass drops have made me laugh, you know. And
I don't even remember the last time.
Reverend, the 2 times that we've seen them, their samples weren't working.
Yeah.
So we didn't get the experience there. But I have a feeling that perhaps their bass drops, they might be the band to do bass drops properly. But they weren't.
No, but you're right.
Both times.
Dude, it's not normal. I mean, metalcore bands would have stronger bass drop than right now. Dude, metalcore acts back then.
The entire scene, everyone, that was just the thing. Like, dude, when I was doing music, like it was our bassist had it on his pedal board. You know, we basically had a pedal board just to do the bass drops, and he was manually fucking stomp on them to have the bass drops go off. And like I even just remember like us, you know, sound checking and you know the crowd getting hyped on the fact that there's like a bass drop. Like I don't know where we went wrong, where like people assumed that we're not fucking with that anymore. Like
everybody likes it.
We're gonna stop doing the bass drops. Like I just don't get it.
And again,
maybe I've seen the wrong live shows, you know, post COVID. But I swear to God, I have not been feeling the crazy bass drops that we used to have.
And for people, I'm gonna add this. I know some people don't mosh anymore, which is a tragedy. But it was a big. For me, at least, it was the bass drop, and then you kick in and you start. It was one of the best feeling. And then they would put another bass drop on the snare as you're moshing, and that was insane.
Well, that's the thing we haven't really lost though. The snare bombs, if anything, there's more of them now. I feel like that's like a thing in modern production now.
But still different. Still not. You know what I'm saying? Like they're there.
Yeah, but maybe that's just like mixing styles a little bit. But I think for the most part, at the very I can't complain about those, if anything. If we're comparing the two, at the very least, there's one's visibly gone and the other's is still there, you know. But
I meant above this snare bass drops.
Well,
you know?
above this bass drops, so, to be precise. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I meant. But because that was a good feeling, you know, the breakdown would start. There was this, you felt like you were going at war almost as you're moshing. Even freaking A Day to Remember.
Well, yeah, any band who had a breakdown, any band who had breakdowns back then, that was a part of the sound, right? Because yeah, all the fucking Joey Sturgis bands, like they in the records, it's massive fucking bass drops. That's what he did, you know. So we just inherently had that, but yeah, okay. Let me what do we got here? Let's do one last one here. Okay. Most big name deathcore bands released one or two landmark records and have coasted on them since.
What do you mean? Okay, what was that? Most
big name deathcore bands, so the Whitechapel, Suicide Silence, The Artist Murders of the World, released one or two landmark albums, so like great albums, iconic albums, and have coasted on them ever since. Meaning that their careers are they still have careers now because of those records and not really because of anything else.
Yeah, you're currently talking about every band in the world. It's not a metal thing. I'm really sorry, but like most bands, and it's very simple. I could say the same thing about movies, my friend. Like it's always that. Like
that's different. There's a different expectation there. Like
for sure. But I'm just saying it's just one of those things where, of course, when you do something that great. Even if you try, I would argue though that some bands, kept doing like it. Maybe it wasn't, but to say that it was coasting, like if you take Suicide Silence for example, like they were still on the fucking rise. Like, of course, for me, the Cleansing is still the best, but look at the results of No Time to Bleed. No Time to Bleed in terms of like charts and everything, completely.
But that would be their second record.
But still, it's still not the first.
I know, but I'm just saying those would be the two iconic records. Those two records, and then everything past that would be them coasting theoretically based on this.
Sure, but then they release "You Only Live Once," and it's still their biggest song to this day. So it depends on how because that's the tricky thing within deathcore is for our scene specifically, right? And me included, by the way. When we think Suicide Silence, we don't think You Only Live Once. We think Unanswered. We think like all that for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, no. Like you'll live. So it was way.
What's Whitechapel's biggest song? Like stats wise, like objectively speaking, is it like a? I mean, it's certainly not a somatic defilement song, but is it like a This Is Exile or Possession? Like, are those the biggest songs? I can't imagine, right?
It would be Possession, I think, more than This Is Exile. Weirdly.
I'm gonna look just quick at their Spotify numbers, which doesn't indicate much because Spotify wasn't around, so it's not like it's counting views from back in the day. Their biggest song on Spotify, at the very least, is "The Saw Is the Law," which is probably one of the songs that I fucking hate the most by the band. "The Saw Is the Law." I cannot believe it.
I'm not kidding. I don't think I've ever heard it.
That's fine. Look, all respect to Whitechapel. I just
it's not because I don't like them. It's just corny. I really listen to the two. I'm the asshole who listened to Somatic and This Is Exile and
I mean YouTube views. It's pretty, which goes further back than Spotify. Possession.
That would have been my guess.
Possession is by far their most viewed. It's got like 10 million views. They've got multiple songs with a couple million views and stuff like that, but that's by far their most.
But it's a fair question, but coming from somebody who also loves like a lot of different scenes, like I'm seeing the same thing happen. There are a few exceptions. Like I would take Blink. Like honestly, Blink probably has like 7 great albums. Like they really release like a lot of good albums, but in most cases, and even then I'm saying that, but still Enema of the State and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket were still like the biggest album nonetheless. So I'm just trying to say it's very often, it's not like a deathcore thing. Like I could make the same argument. I heard a conversation about Metallica the other day. It's just, you make very often, you're going to have 1-2 big albums within that vibe. And then, that it was special because no one has done it, but then it's your band, it's your talent. And it's just, you keep going, but it won't be, it's difficult to make 8 amazing albums redefining everything, that's
I think the case would maybe more so to be made for bands that peaked elsewhere than in the beginning of their career. Like I think it'd be fair to say that I mean, Lorna Shore doesn't fit into this category of first two records, right? You look, snobs in the deathcore scene can lament Tom Barber not being in Lorna Shore anymore all they want, but objectively speaking, their most popular material is all post 2020, and they were
Tom
a band
would agree to that.
They were a band for 8 years before that. So it's like, you know, I think they're like an example of
I know
maybe
that
what
can happen, but most of it, let's be honest,
it's rare.
In a lot of the cases, that's not what happened. And with all due respect to Lorna, they had like a big moment on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to discredit the album. I'm just saying.
For sure. I guess I'm just more so surprised that that's not the case more often, I guess. And that it's usually, if something's to pop off, it'd be in the beginning of the career, you know?
More often than not.
Like I look anecdotally, you know, me, as you know, with the band I was in, I was kind of, there was a point near the end where I was kind of like, well, if we haven't made it yet, like but real talk, like what are the odds? You know, like what would it take for our fourth record to be the one that pops off? Like that's just, to everything that we're talking about right now, like not really the case of a lot of bands. So
you have a good point.
And I'm not saying that, like, I'm not telling bands to give up if they're on their fourth record and they haven't blown the fuck up, but that is a way that I felt for sure. I was like, well, what do we do next, man? Because I feel it. This can't be our peak, right? But at the same time, like if we rely on history, this is kind of it, you know.
But except right now, where we can have a bit, like Deftones right now is having a moment. Like right now, I think is the exception. You could have any time.
But Deftones was already huge back in the day, right? They're just having like a resurgence that, you know, broke up, came back. Like, you know, that's like a whole thing. But
would be possible. It's just what I'm saying. But exterior elements could bring attention. But I guess what I'm trying to about, you know, just to answer the question of the person is, because it was pointed as a deathcore thing and they're just like coasting. I don't think they're coasting. Like you named Whitechapel, like they always work like super hard putting albums and stuff like that. You know, they never, because coasted sound like, oh, we did it, so just, you know, let's just like it's pretty rare. Take Carnifex, like they just like worked super hard and stuff like that.
But both those bands, Carnifex and Whitechapel, it is a weird thing where they were hugely popular in the MySpace era, and then MySpace died and they kind of did too, you know, and they both went out to do other kind of styles of music and experimented in different things and I don't, just a figure of speech, I don't mean it this way, but like to try to stay relevant, you know, just to try and, you know, not fucking break up and keep playing shows. They just like put out music. And now in 2026, deathcore is back and they're arguably kind of both in their best form, you know? Yeah. Like Whitechapel's probably playing to the biggest headline shows that they've ever done, ever, even if you count the old school days, right? So there's like something weird there also. This like, it's, you know, if we talk about coasting, you could maybe say they were coasting for like 6-7 years, you know, when deathcore was dead, but they kept doing it and now they're back, you know, they're popular again, more popular than ever. So that's like a weird thing, right? But to your point, none of these bands stopped grinding, right? But there's few bands like that. But
I just mean, I guess my answer is it's not a deathcore thing. It's just an artist band type of thing that happens very often. The bigger you get with something, the more it's going to seem like you're coasting. Because it's almost impossible. It's like saying, hey, man, I was an actor and I played in Lord of the Ring. Yeah, your next movies better be, it's going to be difficult to, you know what I'm saying? It's not even a good example because there's so many characters in Lord of the Ring, but I'm just saying like, oh, I was the and it's not even a good example because some people are doing it, but I just mean it makes it more difficult.
It's hard to top something that's had massive success for sure. Yeah.
Actor is the worst example because most of the time what's going to happen is because it worked, then they're in all the big things. So it doesn't really equate.
I think actors are maybe more prone known also to reinvent themselves, right? And to be
Also-
more versatile with different types of roles and different types of movies.
doesn't
Whereas,
matter.
whereas with music, there's like an expectation that you're going to keep doing the same thing, right? Which is not usually not the expectation with actors, right? You just want someone to
So
put
you
on a good
don't
performance.
want as
but-
an actor.
Exactly.
They
No, but I
don't
say,
want
but
that.
no, but what I mean is from a fan perspective, right? Like if you're a fan of an actor, you're not expecting them to only play the type of movie that you first saw them in, right? Whereas a band, you're like, that's unfortunately to some bands' detriment. Like you're kind of boxed in, and that can play to an advantage, but it can harm you for sure, right? But I don't think there's like a right answer to that, unfortunately.
And I heard it many times in interviews from bands, like even outside. Like I was watching an interview with All American Rejects, a band that I always liked personally, and they did a new album that's, if I'm honest with you, couldn't be more different than anything they've done. It's like a psychedelic rock, whatever, like spacey thing. I don't know how even to call it. And he was super blunt in the interview. He's like, oh no, we know it's probably it's not what we usually do, but it's just, I'm not that guy. I stopped, because they stopped for like 15 years. They're like, I'm not that goofball kid in the music. It would be worst for me to try to re-sing about girls, and like that's
it's the weirdest fucking thing for sure.
It's not me. So I respected it, because I'm like, well, they did something where they're at the moment, and I'm the worst. I'm guilty of that, by the way, expecting bands to do what I like. I'm the worst for that sometimes. But when you think about it, it's so weird to ask somebody who made like Infinite Depth to do that at 46 and sing about this. No, but it's just like, it's doable. But I mean, we see it in death metal a lot. Like these people are 50 and they're singing about the same thing, and all respect to them. But I just mean, a lot of people lose their anger, their parents, they've got their lives together. They're not upset. So for some people, it's not their source, right? For me personally, I channel these things differently. But I can see that if someone their source of inspiration was that sort of vibes that they had.
I think about that a lot. Yeah.
I get it. It's like, if you don't have that anymore, for me, it's not to talk about me, but for me, I think something that it's more of a, it's hard to explain, not a darkness inside, but a little bit. It's something I'm always going to carry. Everything that I don't have in my life, I kind of channel something that it's not really, it's hard to explain. It's like the opposite of what you would expect, but like I'm always going to be able to channel that kind of thing. But if the elements are exterior, and you were writing that as a kid because you were upset at a lot of different things, and now in your life, you look at your life, you're content, you look, like, I kind of get it, and they have the guitar in their hands, and they're like, well, I'm not upset, especially for vocalists. Like, so
or just, you know, the mentality might have just been that you're edgy, right? And that's like a thing of the age that you're at, right? And then you grow out of that naturally at some point for most people, right? And then it is like, look, I'll Attila is, you know, like doing that, like to me, that there's like something corny about that, right? But
that's the example I said the other day. I don't remember who I was talking. I'm like, I'll love to. I'm not against them. Like, I listened to a shit ton of Rage back then, but I put myself in his shoes, and I used to party. You know that, right? I used to be a big party person. During those days, I would have sing stuff like that, and it would have made sense. But right now, where I only eat whole food and drink tea, no, but it would be like, what the fuck am I doing right now? You know? So, and especially imagine you're in a relationship, you're married, and then you make songs about girls and partying. For me, do what you want, but I just mean, I wouldn't picture myself, like, I wouldn't even do that now, like talking about, and I'm single. So, I just feel like you cannot blame a band for being in their 40s, and the music might be different meaning wise and where they're at, you know, like it would be weird.
It's a weird thing. Like, that is like an existential crisis that a lot of vocalists, surely more so than most, probably have to deal with, right? Like, getting to this point of realization where you're like, okay, I can't tap into this thing that I used to be able to tap into. So we like inherently have to change the thing we're doing here because it is not going to be that. And those who do push through it regardless, I think for the most part it comes off, and it is just weird. But that must be like a weird. Like, look, like for me personally, vocal wise, it's like, if I'm going through a rough time, I mean, hey, I better capitalize on that time to write, because when everything's going well, I ain't got no inspo, right? And that's when I start writing some corny shit. So it's everything's always, but to your point, everyone's different on where they draw inspo from and the well that they get it from. But yeah, I feel for people who have long careers and have to reinvent ways to even just be excited about the music that they're working on, right? It must be like a trip when you're like 20 years deep into a band and on your like 10th record, that must, I don't know, that must be fucked up.
But I get it.
To still like to find ways to still be excited about that. Like, I don't know.
For sure, I get it, and even me, I'm guilty of that. Like I was talking about All Time Low earlier, right? Like I'm the annoying person who prefers like the early stuff, dude. One of the choruses were Stay 17, the party scene. I think he says like the party scene has got the best of me. Like he cannot. Like,
there's no
are
winning.
we, dude? You cannot expect that. I get it. Like, he won't sing that shit. Like, come on, like for sure. Like, he would. They're probably laughing at it now. They're like, dude, like, check yes, Juliet, are you with me? Like, I don't want to be mean, but it's just like,
you're still singing about your ex like 20 years later in this super famous song. That must be like the worst fucking thing. Dude.
Can you imagine like if Second Serenade? Like, you broke my heart. Like, I don't know. I get it. To your point, by the way, not to make it about me, but like you're saying, for me, the best way I can write and do vocals is both, because I can channel it pretty much every time, because how I am, right? I'm a dreamer.
I mean, you're able to tap into like getting emotional and stuff like that too, right? Like, because that's the thing with me. I'm not, we've talked about this. Like, I'm not like a nostalgic person so much, and I don't have this thing like you do where like I can go back in time and like relive emotions and stuff like that. So it's hard for me to be like, okay, let me draw from something from my past. Like I'm just not going to live it the same way if I think about it again. Right. So that's why I was saying earlier, like, I think kind of makes sense with what I was saying. Like I better write about the thing or be inspired by the thing when I'm in it. Or
take notes at least.
Because if you can take notes, but like how it is. If you want to write and be like personal about it and like really write like while you're feeling something, then it's like I gotta do it when I'm feeling it, or else it's like it's kind of gone. It's kind of gone forever.
Even for the vibe of a song, I'm the same way. I'm feeling something right now, it's not like in 3 days. It's like it needs to happen right now. And me personally, it's like what I do is people don't know, because like I don't even post my lyrics, but most of the time it's like I can picture myself in a situation about what I'm writing. So for instance, like being in the same room of like terrible things, like a predator or something like that, and then I tap into what I'm saying, like I'm tapping into and I'm gone, man. I'm like that's why I'm saying it's the opposite of me, because like in real life I'm like I want people to be fine, I want people to love, so I tap into, it's weird, but I tap into these horrible scenarios, but as the just what I would do to these people. It's just one example, but or if I tap into sadness, that works as well. So I'm thinking about these things, but I can completely empathize with somebody who's freaking 45 who made deathcore when they were younger, and that's not the way they channel things. I'm like, dude, like you cannot invent like he won't like invent a fight with his wife just so that he's inspired, like you cheated on me and you're in my dream, and so I it's unfortunate. I feel bad for a band basically who cannot kind of keep it must suck. It's not because they don't want to.
Like I said, I empathize just with bands that have a long career, regardless of if they make it through or not, because no matter what, it's probably tough on some level, right? And kudos to those that are able to power through it and find new ways to find inspiration and to reinvent themselves or whatever their approach is, right? And we as fans might not always be down with whatever they decide to do through that, but I just have empathy for people who have to like make these decisions where like they know probably like most of these people like they know people are gonna feel some type of way about it, but that's just what they have to do, you know. So anyways, let's do one last thing. We said we were gonna close off with this. It's a question that we ask a few of our guests. And the responses to this type of reel, they always go the fuck off. So it'd be stupid for us to not do it for ourselves. People love to argue over this specific question in the comments. So please, by all means, in the comments of this episode, give us yours. But Yan, I'm going to need you to give me your top 5 heaviest bands of all time.
I will. I just want to emphasize the fact that depending on the day you ask, it would always change. Mm-hmm. So that said,
no takebacks. It's okay.
Yeah, but I just mean, you know, could be 50 bands, but so I'll go. My first one I'll pick is Demolisher. Seriously, so fucking heavy. It's insane. The second one might surprise people, but Devarment is really heavy in a way that it's hard to explain, but it's just fucking, it's like gnarly. Even like the recent stuff and
dude, I don't know if we were talking about this the other day or not, but the three songs that they dropped, the surprise dropped. Holy fuck, dude!
By the way, that's how you release stuff, people.
Oh, yes, sir. Take notes, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll say that, and I wouldn't be surprised if you would say the same thing. It's tough to beat Orphan in the way that they're heavy, so I'm going to have to say them. Then it's one that you're going to smile, but nobody knows about. I'm going to say Silence the End / Pray for Dead. That thing, it's a very techie, like deathcore. They didn't make a lot of songs. I think it's like
5 songs.
4, 5 songs. But so everything about it is in your face, heavy, crazy. The vocals, like it's, even to this day, I've never seen something like that. I'm just going to say this.
It's Girl of Glass in 2009. I posted about this the other day. Like, it's like the sound that Girl of Glass have with the over-the-top bass drops and the kind of tinny sound, even down to like Jason's vocals. Like, to me, it's almost like 1-to-1 what that band in 2009 but.
Except with the techie, almost Infant Annihilate, like it's
Australian, so by de facto tech deathcore. Yeah.
So I'll save that because it's so fucking heavy. And the last one won't surprise anyone, but to me, Suicide Silence EP era, like even the Cleansing, but I mean the EP for me, songs like Swarm, About a Plane Crash, this rawness that nobody can capture was just with Mitch, Suicide Silence EP era. That's everybody's gonna be so fucking pissed with my top, but that's what I've got.
No, I like this top personally.
Did I say 5 though?
Yeah, you said 5. Yeah. Your Suicide Silence is making me reconsider my list. Not to include Suicide Silence, but just you made me think about why that record is heavy. Right, like the vibe of that record, and it's making me think of other records that, right? Because it's not just because they have the craziest breakdowns. It's not really about that. There's like it's just like a vibe to it, right? Which
that's
is
the funniest. Yeah, that's the funniest thing. By the way, I'm a breakdown person. If you look at what I gave you, like the environment, like it's not even that breakdown. Well, Demolisher has a little breakdown, but it's not that breakdown.
It's not
heavy.
all that. It's less breakdowns than I would have expected. Certainly, yeah.
Heavy, and everything I said to me were in the scary sort of Orphan would be anger scary, but like that's just but so I said mine We're not leaving if you don't.
No.
if we're not doing it.
I even wrote some stuff down. While we were doing this, I was giving a hard think about this, which I know cheating. It's an on the spot thing normally, but I've got 7 on my list, and this is really hurting.
Well, usually we don't have rules, and we let our guests say another one. More.
I can not be. I could play by our rules. Okay, look, number 1,
Metallica.
undisputed, Beneath the Massacre.
Okay, can see that.
There's to me is no other band that's done the contrast that they do between super techy and fast, but also the most crushing, brutal fucking breakdowns you've ever heard. And it's the contrast that makes it work. Just the break. Right, it's slow breakdowns, but I think just the breakdowns themselves, like if it was just that, I don't think I wouldn't have them in that conversation, but the totality of it is what makes that band, to me, one of the heaviest bands of all time. Number 2, yes, I'm gonna give it to Orphan. Absolutely. I don't. There's nothing
You
to
laugh.
say more.
It's so heavy that you're laughing. It's like
It's the
crazy.
most ridiculously heavy fucking thing in the world. No contest. So that. Igian.
Okay.
Because that's kind of like just the territory of, and I guess all my picks are this, like just the most brutal of guttural low vocals. There was like that sound for that era. That was a thing with a few bands that really brought that brutality to another level. We've talked about this a million times, how certain bands, like we heard those bands for the first time and we were like, oh, this like unlocked a new level of heavy that I didn't think could exist. They're one of those bands. King Conquer.
I was sure. I was like, there's no way he's not saying King Conquer.
I mean, that's the obvious pairing to that. And see, now I would only have one left. I'm going to say fuck it, Oceano.
Yeah, okay.
I mean that's like the other band in that group to me that like I heard Oceano for the first time. I was like, well, all right, like, you know, we can give up on trying to be more heavy. Like we've reached peak heaviness. We have arrived. You know, that early stuff. We obviously always talk about depths, but even the demos, and then. Me personally, I'm a massive fan of Ascendance as well, which is a couple records later, and I think that record is really special and has some of the craziest fucking breakdowns on it too. But I mean, look, it's hard to argue the breakdowns on Depths. I mean, come on. And look,
Even on Contagion.
But even on Contagion, yeah, absolutely. And then look, I'll just throw out the two honorable mentions, but Ion Dissonance. And Orphan and Coma is like a lesser known band from here. But when you were talking about the Suicide Silence EP, that's my version of that, where it's not even really like a deathcore band. Like they were in the same circles as all these other, you know, Despised, Ion, like that's like the whole group of friends. But they were more like a grindy, kind of more the grindy side of early deathcore. And they just very dissonant, very like in your face. The production was kind of shitty, but that's kind of what made it cool. A little bit spacey and ambient, which is usually a thing that I fucking hate in my music, which ironic given Igian as well on my list. But yeah, Orphans in Coma. That'd be my other honorable mention. That's it. That's my list. Beneath the Massacre, Oceano, Igian, King Conquer, Orphan. I mean, The five of them have I probably top five most brutal vocalist is probably that same list. I think that's where it comes in for me for heaviest.
Yeah, no, makes sense. That makes sense. Anyway, no matter what we say, we're gonna get roasted. So
I mean, look, such
just
it is.
to piss off people, I was this close to say like a black metal band. Just
I should have looked up like a niche black metal band that people would expect you to not know. Yeah,
like on Reddit, like most underground good, and they're just like, what? And it's just like, that would be insane.
But I've been finding it crazy how people have been reacting to these reels specifically, because obviously heavy can mean different things to different people. Heavy can be applied to different genres of music outside of.
You could say Slipknot. You could have said Slipknot.
Exactly, right. And for some, it's because it's emotional, and that's what's heavy to them. For others, it's more the slower, the sludgy stuff. That's what's like
the pain
heavy to
behind.
them. Like whatever. There are multiple ways of giving the listener a stank face, and it's not always just a big ass fucking breakdown with gutturals.
It's all
right?
valid,
and it's all valid. But I swear to God, man, people get fired.
They take it like you attacked their family. That's how they take it.
And like. And these people giving these opinions are the dumbest motherfuckers on earth for having mentioned these bands. Do these guys even know what heavy means, or what you forgot about Black Sabbath? Like the amount of Pantera mentions in these comments as though that. And look, I get it. But it's just like the types of people that are writing these things are, to your point, so offended and so like mean-spirited in reply to what someone else's list was. It just blows my mind. There's something specific about the heaviest bands of all time thing, because we've done like metal vocalists or deathcore vocalists and just top 5 deathcore bands or MySpace deathcore bands, and those always do well, and people argue in those as well. But the heaviest records of all time, heaviest bands of all time, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because it's less specific, so it like more people can chime in. Maybe that's what it is. But like, holy fuck, man, people are very passionated, in these comments.
I mean, dude, but for me, that's I swear to God, it's one of my favorite things to witness. Like, I swear to God, people are offended by different opinions on nothing. Sometimes not sometimes. I often leave comments on Instagram, and sometimes not that I'm lucky, but my timing is I'm very early on a post of somebody who's known, so then I leave my comment, and then there's a lot of. And some people take something that I said, it's not even a take. I just commented on, well, are you, and it was like irony or something. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? Do I need to? And I'm just like, you're currently upset. Not only do you don't know me, to comment online, and you didn't understand what I meant. And right now, I know you're upset. People are really, and with music, and we're talking about us, but my comment section, same thing. Sometimes I just said, sometimes it's a throwaway thing that I said. It wasn't even my script or anything. I just said something, and they're like, I can recognize a poser when I see one. You don't know what you're talking about. You said, you don't know what they did for the scene and everything. Like if I said that they deserve to die or something. Like I just said, that's less my thing. It's just like, sometimes it's just this. I'm not that about, it's less my kind of music. You don't know anything about me. I'm like,
dude, whoa. Man. And look, not to go there, but I'll be the one to say it. We did one specific one was like a top 5 metal records of all time, and with Cheney from Entheos. And the comments on that one specifically, it's crazy because there's an equal amount of people. Like I swear to God, Yan, it's like a 1-for-1, like an equal amount on both sides. People that are saying that her take is like she gets it. Like what a good take. Like, oh wow, you mentioned this band. Like no one ever talks about this band. That's so cool. And then like there's like an equal amount of these as the what you'd obviously expect. The like she doesn't even know what she's talking about. But like always with like clearly like, and maybe I'm reading it into it too much, but I think I'm pretty good at recognizing these sort of things by now. Like a very clear like undertone of misogyny underneath it all.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
It's because it's a girl that's stating an opinion that de facto she's wrong on
There's
her
tons
list.
of people like that, yeah.
Dude. But we normally don't really see much of that in our comments because it's mostly dudes on the show, right? And we're two dudes, right? But like on that one specifically, but I swear, like it's crazy because I'll like go in like the comment notifications or whatever, and it's literally like, oh, this is the best list ever. She doesn't know what she's fucking talking about. Wow, she mentioned Frederick Nordstrom. Wow, that's so sick. What a fucking poser. This girl doesn't, you know, it's like, all right, I guess, you know, like it's crazy, dude.
You know what my favorite thing is right now? These people cannot read a situation or a room at all. Like it happened to me pretty often. I post a video, it's doing quite well. And when it's doing well, that's
Reaches
when that stuff
outside.
happens. And I remember someone saying like, not more than once, someone saying, who even cares about that stuff? And it's on a reel that has like, I'm in the million views.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I love that. I saw it earlier in my thing, so it must be pretty high up in my things. I saw a meme that was exactly this. It's like, oh yeah, the quote is, nobody likes them. Me referring to a band with millions of Spotify listeners. But that's what everyone does. It's fucking crazy, dude. I don't know, man. It's people are special. And like last thing I'll say on that is like also I don't know what it is with people, like they can't seem to, a lot of people can't seem to separate like not everything that everyone says is meant to be stated as absolute fact. You know, like no one's stating that their opinion is the absolute truth and the best opinion. And like it's never mentioned. No one ever mentions that their take is the take or that their opinion is the absolute opinion. But people seem to always take it in such a way to the point of like, it's even the nitpicking that I find weird. It's like, this list is perfect, but then you said this band, so your whole list is invalid. You know, like this sort of stuff. They were like agreeing in the first place, but then they don't. And then I even just the concept of saying that someone's list is wrong. I'm like, we're just talking. Like it's just like we're just having a conversation, guys. It's okay. Like we're not presenting this to the government or putting this in the dictionary. We're just fucking yapping, you know. And we happen to put it on the internet. But people, I don't know. There's this thing where people are so compelled to tell you when you're wrong about your opinion. I don't know. The world is fucked.
Back when I was responding a little more to those comments, like now I'm just playing with them, having fun. But I used to genuinely just trying to a fault, trying to make people see other respectfully, just trying to explain my point before I understood that it was a big waste of time. But I remember every time that they would act like this and I would respond, the alternative is everybody likes the exact same stuff that you like. Would you like to be in a world like this?
No. But also that's what I find funny also is the assumption that on that Cheney, there's that one Cheney. I don't know why it's this one specifically, but many comments of people saying something along the lines of like, this is supposed to be a top of all times list, but she just gave us her top, like her personal favorites. That's not what this is. And I'm like,
what do you think this is?
How else would you do it? What are we talking about? And to your point, the alternative is that like So what would you tell me is the top list? Probably your top list? Like what are we doing?
We're like Brutapedia. Like it's not like a statement online for as an information for the.
If we wanted to rile up the scene, we should start a metal band ranking website where we rank every single band that we come across and put them into a database and put them on a chart.
Tomato,
but it's like our opinion, not the people's opinion. This is just our list, but it's the definitive list.
you know what would be even better? It's our opinion, but we also put the public. So sometimes we're super off. It's like we gave
it's the Metacritic versus the,
we gave like 3% and everybody's about it type thing. Like not talking about Rotten Tomato, but
look, maybe there's a little app to conjure up.
Well, I'm just gonna say this happened to me that with the critics, I wouldn't watch the movie. Then I watched it. Look at the audience. It was amazing. So
there we go. That's it.
Sometimes the opposite though. But
yeah. We're gonna wrap this up here. This was look, we're running over 3 hours on this one, so I mean that's how we do over here, and to no one's surprise, I assume. But this was cool. Appreciate everyone who sent in their own hot takes for us to look at the end here. I also just want to take a 2 seconds again to thank everyone who's been following our journey, who's been fucking with what we do. We did, for us, it felt like a little bit of a transition where we stopped streaming, when we were recording our episodes, and that would include often an hour on both ends, sometimes 3 hours total of us yapping, with whoever's there. And that was usually our time where we would kind of state these kind of opinions, and people would throw their questions at us, and we would have these sorts of discussions. But we haven't done that in a minute because of the lack of streaming. So this was fun to kind of just yap here on a video. And cheers to 150. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. That's like we're approaching the 3 years, but we've done more than one a week, so we're at 150 already. Crazy,
insane, absolutely insane.
And then last thing I'll say is that us stopping to stream was in part due to us looking at the future of the show, and all I'll say is that us doing it offline in the way that we're doing now, it has been really fucking cool, actually, just for the stress-free nature of being able to have guests come in and we can chat with them beforehand, both Yan and I, instead of having a stream going on while we're doing intros and stuff. And then also just the fact that we're not in front of a live audience has alleviated a lot of stuff. It's allowed us to do a 7-hour interview, for example, with Nate Johnson, which, if I'm being honest, I don't think would have went down that way had we been locked into this live thing that we were doing. It's allowed us to get certain guests that maybe would have not wanted to do something if it was live on stream. All that to say, there's already benefits for us to doing it this way, but also, like, we're the format will eventually keep morphing. So I'll leave the people make with that what they will, but we're not done improving on the show anytime soon. So appreciate everyone here for the first 150, but we're looking towards the next 150. That's the mindset.
Yep, exactly.
Yes, sir. Any final words, Yan, before we hop off?
No, this was fun. It was a cool thing for me to do. Recently, I was a bit more offline, a lot of stuff going on, so it was cool to kind of come back. I released a video today and stuff like that. So for me, that's all kind of positive. It's felt great. It was my social moment, quote unquote. So alone in my room, but social. That was fun. No, and thank you everybody, seriously, for even anybody who care. Like, we're making jokes about like the comments and everything. Anybody who care who cares at all, like just about what we do is insane, you know, like having opportunities like doing Nate. I still can't believe we did that thing with Nate. I still to this day I don't realize John Huber, all these amazing people, that it's in part because, like, you know, we have a community, we have you guys listening to what we do, caring about what we do, engaging with what we do. That's you know, who would have thought? So for us, it absolutely means more than what you might think. It's fun doing it, but it's also very rewarding, and it's a privilege, truly. So that's my final.
Yeah, it allows us to get our foot in the door in places that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. The simple fact that there's any amount of traction and people actually tuning in and the socials performing the way they are. I've said this in a post recently, but you know, there's an alternate reality where no one gives a fuck about what we do, or just doesn't like our personalities at all and doesn't care for any of the guests that we curate to have on this show. Like, there's a universe where that's a thing, and we wouldn't have the luxury to be talking with a lot of the people that we're talking to, because you know, we don't know most of these people ahead of time. You know, the more we do this, the more we have like friends of friends, you know, we connect with people that can connect us with, but the reality is, I know for a fact a lot of these people wouldn't necessarily be coming onto the show if there was going to be 15 views on YouTube on the other side of it. So we're obviously not the biggest thing in the world, but you know, enough so at this point right now to be able to, like I said, get our foot in the door in places that we couldn't have really imagined having our foot in, you know, a couple of years ago when we started this thing. So it's been really cool.
Exactly. Well said.
Yeah, man. All right, well, that's it, man. We're out. If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe or follow button and a review. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, it would mean the world, and it helps out more than you know. A big thank you as well to all of our supporters over on Patreon and on Twitch. New episodes every week, links to our Patreon, Discord, and socials in the description. We'll see you soon. We're out.